Chapter 41:19. Brother Lin, sister-in-law, it's been a while. Duan Jipeng cupped his hands politely. Zhuan silently looked at the man and woman in front of him. Duan Jipeng had already introduced them to Zhuan on the way here. The man and woman were a pair of Taoist companions from the intermediate realm, the water and fire heroes. The man was called Lin Long and the woman was called Ling Long. The two of them were good at teamwork. Although their cultivation was not as good as Duan Jipeng's, if they joined forces, even Duan Jipeng might not be able to take them down. Brother Duan, you're too polite. Didn't you say that there are 4 of us this time? Where's the other fellow? Lin Long asked politely. Duan Jipeng smiled a little embarrassedly and said, I forgot to introduce the 2 of you. This person beside me is called Zhuan, a friend of mine who has gone through life and death together. He's the 4th person to enter the tomb this time. Lin Long and Ling Long finally looked at Zhuan with a strange look in their eyes. Just now, when Zhuan was with Duan Jipeng, they did not pay much attention to him. After all, Zhuan's aura was too weak. He was only at the middle stage of the ancient star transformation. In their opinion, the 4th person invited by Duan Jipeng should at least be an expert of the universe tribulation. Who would have thought that it was just a little guy at the ancient star transformation? Brother Duan, it's not that I look down on your friend, but your friend's cultivation is too weak. After entering the tomb, are you sure he can protect himself? You know, we don't want to have to worry about our safety while exploring the tomb. And the safety of our teammates. Lin Long frowned and said in a deep voice. Zhuan's eyes were calm, but he was sneering in his heart. Lin Long obviously thought that he would be a burden. Duan Jipeng said seriously, Brother Lin, I've said it before. Brother Zhua is my friend. This time, I must bring him into the tomb. If you don't agree, then our agreement may be invalid. Lin Long and Ling Long looked at each other and hesitated. The battle for the tomb this time was full of danger. There were many strong cultivators. Although the 2 of them were strong, they were still a little weak. That was why they joined forces with Duan Jipeng. If Duan Jipeng withdrew because of this, it would be a huge loss to them. How about this? He'll be entering the tomb with us, but you'll have to be responsible for his safety, Brother Duan. My wife and I won't be responsible for that, Lin Long said in a deep voice. Although Duan Jipeng was unhappy, he knew that it was unrealistic to ask Lin Long and Ling Long to protect Zhuan, so he could only nod in agreement. Brother Duan, don't worry. After entering the tomb, I have no problem protecting myself. Zhuan patted Duan Jipeng's shoulder and laughed. Duan Jipeng smiled bitterly. He obviously took Zhuan's words as a form of consolation and did not take them to heart. Lin Long and his wife, on the other hand, had undisguised sneers on their faces. They were rather disdainful of Zhuan's words. After the 2 sides reached an agreement, they came to the open space outside the Snow Flame Valley. In order not to attract attention, the 4 of them set up a simple immortal residence in the corner of the open space and stayed there temporarily. As time passed, more and more cultivators came to the open space outside the Snow Flame Valley. There was no lack of strong cultivators from the Great Qian Kuan Tribulation. In addition, there were many geniuses from the Outer Realm Heavenly List, such as Fu Di, who was ranked 10th, Shen En, who was ranked 15th, and Zhao Tianyi, who was ranked 20th. There were more than 10 geniuses from the Outer Realm Heavenly List who came this time. Among them, there were 3 in the top 10, 2 in the top 20, and the rest were not in the top 20. None of them could be underestimated. In addition, there were many protectors from the Outer Realm. Of course, these protectors were from the lower realms. Naturally, the true masters of the intermediate and advanced domains would not be interested in this tomb of a cosmic Dharma adept. What surprised Zhuan even more was that the Nuwa clan had also come. However, the people from the Nuwa clan who came this time were not the strong cultivators of the Nuwa clan, but the younger generation of the Nuwa clan. The leader of the Nuwa clan team was a genius who was ranked 72nd on the Outer Realm Heavenly List. His name was Lai Rong. Lai Rong was a young man who looked no more than 20 years old. His face was handsome and as gentle as jade. From afar, he looked more like a gentleman. In addition, the team that Lai Rong brought was basically made up of the younger generation of the Nuwa clan. The only thing that caught Zhuowen's attention was the middle-aged man beside Lai Rong. From the aura of the middle-aged man, his cultivation was probably not much weaker than Duan Jipeng's. Obviously, Lai Rong's status in the Nuwa clan was not low. He even had a strong cultivator at the peak of the Great Qian Kun tribulation protecting him. Nuwa clan, I've been pursued so miserably all these years. It's time for the Nuwa clan to pay a price. When Lai Rong and the others arrived at the periphery of the Snow Flame Valley, Duan Jipeng walked out of the immortal abode like a cat that had smelled blood. He looked coldly at Lai Rong and the others. Brother Zhua, if there's a chance, I must kill these people from the Nuwa clan. Can you hold Lai Rong back? Duan Jipeng suddenly looked at Zhuan cautiously and asked. Zhuan did not speak. Instead, he flipped his right hand. Instantly, lines of formation patterns appeared in his palm. With Zhuowen's current level of formation skills, he had long surpassed the level of relying on formation discs to set up formations. He had already reached the level where he could condense extremely powerful formation patterns at will. What a powerful formation power! Brother Zhua, so you're a half-step eternal level formation godmaster. Duan Jipeng was overjoyed. Zhuan put away the formation patterns in his palm. These half-step eternal level formation patterns were casually set up by Zhuan. Duan Jipeng did not know much about formation godmasters. After all, it was impossible for a half-step eternal level formation godmaster to set up half-step eternal level formation patterns at will. Only a true eternal level formation godmaster could do that. Of course, Zhuan did not deliberately explain. With Brother Zhua's help, this Nuwa clan team will not be able to escape. Duan Jipeng was in a good mood and was quite excited. In the next few days, the Snow Flame Valley had not been completely opened. The number of cultivators in the open space increased, and the excess territory decreased. Chapter 41:20. Soon, the silence of the Snow Flame Valley was completely broken by the arrival of a team. This team was from the Witchcraft God clan. The leaders were the clan leader of the Witchcraft God clan, Mo Liuhua, and the domain guardian, Mo Fayu. No one expected that the only two great Carefree Realm experts of the Witchcraft God domain would come. It was clear that the Witchcraft God clan attached great importance to this battle for the tomb. Clan leader Mo. We've been waiting here for so long. I think it's time for you to open the Snow Flame Valley. After the Witchcraft God clan team arrived, a green-robed elder slowly walked out of his immortal abode and spoke slowly. His voice was as loud as a bell, spreading throughout the Snow Flame Valley. The green-robed elder's aura was extremely vast, not much weaker than Duan Jipeng's. Clearly, he was also an expert at the peak of the Cosmos Tribulation. After the green-robed elder spoke, the experts of the Cosmos Tribulation all walked out of their respective immortal abodes and looked at the Witchcraft God clan team with unfriendly eyes. The entrance to the Snow Flame Valley had always been mysterious. Even most of the practitioners of the Witchcraft God domain found it difficult to find the real entrance. The Snow Flame Valley was surrounded by an extremely powerful natural restriction. It was said that the restriction had reached the eternal level. Even an expert of the Great Carefree Realm might not be able to find it in a short time. The entrance. Most of the practitioners of the Witchcraft God domain knew that although the entrance to the natural restriction was mysterious, it had always been in the hands of the higher-ups of the Witchcraft God clan. As long as the Witchcraft God clan was willing to open the real entrance to the Snow Flame Valley, they could all enter the Snow Flame Valley. Of course, although the natural restriction was powerful, there was no lack of experts of the Cosmos Tribulation here. If they could overcome all difficulties and join forces, even the natural restriction could be destroyed by force. However, they did not take action for a long time. Firstly, it was because these people came from various forces and their hearts were not united. Secondly, they were worried that if they forcefully destroyed the natural restriction, it might destroy the Snow Flame Valley and affect the birth of the Snow Flame Valley. The tomb of the Cosmic Dharma experts. Everyone understood that they had gathered outside the Snow Flame Valley these days mainly to wait for the people of the Witchcraft God domain to arrive. As long as the people of the Witchcraft God domain were willing to open the Snow Flame Valley, it would naturally be a happy ending. All eyes fell on Emo Liuhua and Emo Fayu, who were at the front of the Witchcraft God Clan team. They knew that the right to make the decision now. Emo Liuhua and Emo Funyo's faces turned extremely grave. They naturally understood the stakes involved. If they could not give a satisfactory answer, the experts gathered here would likely gang up on them. Everyone, we can understand your feelings. We will naturally open the Snow Flame Valley. Emo Liuhua said in a low voice. Valley, because Liuhua you cosmos God domain. Valley. Hua valley God. Valley, valleys valley. Valley God domain, God domain. Liuhua, God valley. As long as you are willing to open up the Snow Flame Valley, as long as your request is not too excessive, we will naturally agree, the green-robed elder who spoke at the beginning replied. On the empty ground, everyone gently nodded their heads, agreeing with the green-robed elder's words. The tomb of a cosmic Dharma expert is about to be born in the Snow Flame Valley. I think everyone knows about this. Our request is not too much. If the Witchcraft God Clan can enter the deepest part of the tomb, we ask to be the first to choose. We can choose a treasure. The rest of the treasures will depend on our own ability. How about that? Emo Liuhua said indifferently. Everyone was in an uproar when they heard this. In their opinion, Emo Liuhua's request was a little too much. Of course, this was for the cosmic tribulation experts. For most ancient star transformation cultivators, it did not affect them. After all, they were only ancient star transformation cultivators and could not compete with the cosmic tribulation experts. Therefore, they could only pick up the treasures outside the tomb. If you don't agree, the Witchcraft God Clan has a backbone. Even if both sides suffer losses, we will not easily compromise. Emo Liuhua said in a low voice. Faced with Emo Liuhua's rather unyielding attitude, everyone frowned without leaving a trace. The green-robed elder thought for a while and said calmly, there is a premise. There must be at least 3 treasures in the deepest part of the tomb. We can allow the Sorcerer Clan to have the priority to choose one. After the green-robed elder made this suggestion, no one present objected. Obviously, they all agreed with this suggestion. Okay. Emo Liuhua nodded. Since we have reached an agreement, clan leader Mo, why don't you open the Snow Flame Valley? Ziyu said impatiently. Next, Emo Liuhua and Emo Fengyu looked at each other. They each took out a jade token and came to a remote cliff in the Snow Flame Valley. The two of them formed hand seals and sent waves of divine power into their respective jade tokens. The dense and complicated patterns on the jade tokens began to light up and then turned into 2 snakes of light. They quickly intertwined and rushed into the Snow Flame Valley. After about 10 breaths of time, a beam of light shot out of the Snow Flame Valley. It pierced the clouds and pierced the sky. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, the beam of light actually bent downwards, landing on the cliff where Emo Liuhua and the others were. This beam of light is the passageway into the Snow Flame Valley. Everyone, our Witchcraft God Clan will go first. Emo Liuhua casually explained and led the Witchcraft God Clan team into the Snow Flame Valley through the beam of light. This Emo Liuhua is really cunning. He took advantage of the fact that we are not familiar with the entrance and rushed into the Snow Flame Valley first. Duan Jipeng could not help but curse. Many cultivators in the open space were also rather dissatisfied. However, after their dissatisfaction, their eyes were filled with intense passion. The Snow Flame Valley is finally open. Let's rush in. After a short delay, everyone in the open space rushed into the beam of light and was sent into the Snow Flame Valley by the power of the beam of light. Even the experts of the great calamity of heaven and earth were unwilling to fall behind and rushed in at the first moment. Brother Zhua, Brother Lin, and Miss Linglong, let's go in too. Remember, we should be together at all times. Don't fall behind. Duan Jipeng said to Zhuowen and the other 2 in a low voice. Lin Long and his wife looked at Zhuowen disdainfully and nodded cautiously at Duan Jipeng. Chapter 41:21. Is this the Snow Flame Valley? Zhuowen stood on a huge rock and looked around. He realized that he was surrounded by a vast valley that seemed to have no end. He could only vaguely see the silhouettes of mountains in the distance. What was even more bizarre was that snowflakes were falling down from the sky in this gigantic valley. Zhuan reached out his right hand and caught a snowflake. He was surprised to find that these snowflakes were white flames about the size of a fingernail. However, these white flames did not have any temperature. Instead, they were filled with extreme coldness, the kind that went deep into one's bones. This is called the snow flame flower. It's a type of cold flame. The Snow Flame Valley got its name because of this snow flame flower. These strange snow flame flowers fall here all year round. As for the specific reason, no one knows. When Duan Jipeng saw Zhuo Wen's astonished expression, he patiently explained, "Brother Duan, let's stop here. We didn't enter the Snow Flame Valley to talk to some people, but to find the tomb of the universe's Dharma power that is about to be born. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go deeper into the Snow Flame Valley." Lin Long said unhappily. Duan Jipeng frowned. He did not like Lin Long's attitude. He wanted to explain that Zhuan was also a powerful formation master, but he was stopped by Zhuan. "Brother Duan, let's go deeper into the Snow Flame Valley," Zhuan said lightly. Duan Jipeng could only give up. He then led the three of them into the depths of the Snow Flame Valley. In the Snow Flame Valley, other than the snow flame flowers that bloomed all year round, there were also many powerful strange beasts. Due to the special characteristics of the snow flame flowers, evil spirits, ghosts and other non-existent evil creatures were unable to survive in such an environment. Therefore, in the Snow Flame Valley, Nguyen had not met any evil spirits or ghosts. Boom! An ape covered in golden scales fell heavily to the ground, lifeless. Lin Long slowly put away his long spear. A cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth as he said indifferently, "The strange beasts in this Snow Flame Valley are quite strong. I can't believe I encountered a big guy at the half-step carefree realm." As he spoke, Lin Long looked at Zhuan, who was standing at the side and had yet to make a move. He continued, "Little brother Zhua, it's a good thing that you followed us. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to come so deep into the Snow Flame Valley alone." Ling Long covered her mouth and giggled. "Husband, you're so naughty. You clearly know that little brother Zhua's strength is lacking. How could he possibly be a match for this giant golden-striped ape?" "All right, we're almost at the deepest part of the Snow Flame Valley. There might still be cosmos beasts here. Everyone be careful," Duan Jipeng said coldly. Lin Long's eyes were blazing as he said, "This also means that we are closer to the tomb. I just don't know when the tomb of the cosmic Dharma adept will appear. We only need to wait in the deepest part of the Snow Flame Valley. Once the tomb appears, we can immediately enter." Ling Long giggled. Suddenly, a violent tremor came from the depths of the Snow Flame Valley. It was as if a large group of things were rapidly rushing out from the depths. "This is..." Duan Jipeng's eyes were filled with confusion. "Quick, hide in the cave on the left cliff. It's a group of beasts." Zhuan's expression suddenly changed. He shouted sternly and pulled Duan Jipeng into the cave on the side. His consciousness had a wide range and was extremely sensitive. Before Duan Jipeng and the others could react, he had already detected the source of the tremor in the distance. It was a dense group of beasts. Like an unstoppable wave, they were rapidly rushing over. Under Zhuo Wen's investigation, there was no lack of terrifying cosmos beasts with the aura of the universe tribulation within this beast tide. In the face of such a group of beasts, even the four of them would be trampled into meat paste if they did not temporarily hide. "What nonsense are you talking about? It's just an ordinary earthquake. Within the range of my consciousness, I didn't detect any cosmos beasts. You're just an ancient star transformation guy. Do you think your consciousness is stronger than mine?" Lin Long snorted coldly. It was Zhuo Wen's suggestion. "Brother Lin, whether it's true or not, it's best that we hide here and wait for the changes," Duan Jipeng advised. Lin Long shook his head and said, "In any case, I'm an expert of the Qian Kuan tribulation, so how could I possibly listen to a piece of ancient star transformation trash? Wouldn't that make me as trash as him?" Duan Jipeng was furious. This Lin Long really looked down on Zhuan and did not give him any face at all. This made Duan Jipeng very unhappy. Husband, it seems like it's really a group of beasts. While Lin Long and Duan Jipeng were talking, Ling Long, who was standing next to Lin Long, turned pale and hurriedly shook Lin Long's arm. Lin Long came back to his senses and spread out his consciousness. He finally discovered a group of beasts that were rapidly rushing over. This group of beasts was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they rushed in front of them and trampled on them. Judging from the reactions of these beasts, they were not targeting Lin Long and Ling Long. Instead, they were fleeing in panic. Damn it, let's retreat. Lin Long summoned his powerful divine power and joined forces with Ling Long to repel part of the group of beasts. They planned to escape to the cave where Zhuan and Duan Jipeng were. However, there were simply too many beasts. Under the encirclement of the beasts, their speed was very slow. It could be described as difficult to move forward. Roar! Just as they were slowly approaching the cave, two beasts of universal calamity immediately discovered Lin Long and Ling Long. With a loud roar, they suddenly rushed out and launched a fierce attack on the couple. Lin Long and Ling Long were already having a hard time because they were in the middle of the group of beasts. Now that they were being attacked by two beasts of universal calamity, they were immediately in imminent danger. Damn it, we can't hold back anymore. Attack with all our might. Lin Long's expression was ugly. He immediately released his universal world. Ling Long naturally cooperated with Lin Long. The two Qian Kun worlds overlapped, erupting with an extremely terrifying power. The two beasts of universal calamity were also extremely extraordinary. They each released their own universal worlds and fiercely collided with Lin Long and Ling Long. The terrifying shockwaves from the battles spread out in all directions like ocean waves. Many of the weaker exotic beasts were directly annihilated into dust. However, the beast horde continued to charge forward one after another. Almost all of them were not afraid of death. As for Lin Long and Ling Long, they were completely stalled by the two beasts of universal calamity. They could not escape at all. Brother Zhua, this group of beasts is a little strange. Look at these beasts. They are all panicking and running away as if they are afraid of something. Duan Jipeng observed the group of beasts around them and said in a low voice. Zhuan nodded in agreement. He glanced at the depths of Snowflame Valley. He had a feeling that something was about to be born in the depths. Chapter 41-22. Brother Duan, save us. While Zhuan and Duan Jipeng were talking, Lin Long and his wife, who were already in a precarious situation, could no longer hold on due to the addition of the third universal calamity beast. They threw their dignity aside and began to call for Duan Jipeng's help. Duan Jipeng frowned slightly. He did not like what Lin Long had done, but these two were his companions after all. He could not just leave them in the lurch. Just as Duan Jipeng was about to help, Duan pulled him back. Brother Duan, this beast tide is too terrifying. Even if you go out, I'm afraid not only will you not be able to save Lin Long and his wife, but you'll also lose your life. Zhuan said calmly. Duan Jipeng's heart trembled. He silently looked at the terrifying beast tide outside and fell silent. Zhuan was right. Although he was strong, this beast tide was too large. If he really got trapped, he was not confident that he could escape unscathed, let alone save Lin Long and his wife. Zhuan, what are you trying to do? Lin Long and his wife were busy dealing with the attacks of the three universal calamity beasts, but they had been paying attention to Zhuan and Duan Jipeng. Naturally, they heard the conversation between the two. Their expressions changed drastically, and they were extremely dissatisfied with Yun. Duan Jipeng showed a trace of pity. He smiled bitterly and said, Brother Zhua, I've implicated you this time. I wanted to bring you along for an opportunity, but I didn't expect. Moreover, Lin Long and his wife are my companions. I can't leave them alone. Brother Zhua, just hide here and don't move. Nothing can happen, so don't come out. Just wait for the beast tide to pass and then leave. I'll go save him first. Brothers. After saying that, Duan Jipeng stood up with a determined look in his eyes. Zhuan shrugged. Although he was not very fond of Lin Long and his wife, he could not watch Duan Jipeng fall into danger alone. Brother Duan, I have a way to save them. Zhuan suddenly said. You have a way? What is it? Duan Jipeng looked at Zhuan rather excitedly. After Zhuan discovered the beast tide in advance, Duan Jipeng realized that the young man in front of him was definitely not simple. He was probably more powerful than he had imagined. Therefore, when Zhuan said he had a way, Duan Jipeng's first reaction, not only did he not believe him, but he was excited. Lin Long and his wife, who were still fighting the three beasts, and their expressions, who were still fighting the three beasts were fighting. They naturally did not believe Jipeng's opinions right. They were, and Jipeng to Jipeng. Where Jipeng had Jipeng's now, they would, even if he himself would die to save them to help himself. Them would be ins to, would die to died. To help. He would be. Them. The three, theirs. At this moment, in the cave, under Duan Jipeng's excited gaze, Yun slowly took out 3 array discs. These are the teleportation arrays I set up temporarily. I set the teleportation location in this cave. As long as you can get close to Lin Long and his wife and hand them the array discs, you'll be able to escape. Zhuan said in a deep voice. Temporary teleportation array? It's easy to interfere with. With the 3 Cosmos Tribulation exotic beasts around, I'm afraid this temporary teleportation array won't be of any use at all. Duan Jipeng said with a frown. Zhuan said with a faint smile, You're talking about an ordinary temporary teleportation array. This array disk also contains a first firmament of eternal level defensive restriction. It's enough to buy you enough time to teleport. Duan Jipeng's pupils shrank. A first firmament of eternal level defensive restriction? This was a priceless item. Even if it was him, it would still be difficult for him to purchase such a large array. However, Yun had casually taken out 3 array discs containing such a high level of restriction. He even suspected that Yun was bragging. But after seeing Zhuan's serious eyes, Duan Jipeng nodded heavily. He chose to believe in Zhuan. I'm sure I can get close to them. I'll go first. Duan Jipeng glanced at Yun. With a stomp of his foot, a terrifying aura burst out from his body. Then, the powerful energy dissipated, forming a huge shadow of the cosmos world in the void behind him. The moment Duan Jipeng swept out, the nearby exotic beasts discovered him, but they did not take the initiative to attack. Instead, they continued to flee in panic. Although the exotic beasts did not attack Duan Jipeng, Lin Long and his wife were in the center of the beast tide. If Duan Jipeng wanted to get close to them, he would have to repel some of the beast tide. Thinking of this, Duan Jipeng's eyes revealed a trace of ruthlessness. He suddenly rushed into the beast tide. Powerful divine power erupted like an unbridled storm. Wherever Duan Jipeng passed by, the exotic beasts were sent flying in all directions, wailing in agony. Duan Jipeng's rude and unreasonable actions finally angered the exotic beasts in his vicinity. They gave up on running away one after another, and instead launched extremely fierce attacks at Duan Jipeng furiously. Duan Jipeng's face was solemn. The huge cosmos world surrounded his body. Rolling divine power burst out like a deep abyss, blocking all the exotic beasts around him. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a terrifying collision sound was heard. Duan Jipeng groaned and was forced to stop. Then, he discovered with an ugly expression that another Cosmos Tribulation exotic beast had appeared in the beast tide. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it launched a fierce attack at him. Fortunately, this exotic beast was slightly weaker than the 3 exotic beasts that were attacking Lin Long and his wife. It was only at the early stage of the Cosmos Tribulation. Duan Jipeng snorted coldly and no longer held back. He opened his right hand and the endless tribulation energy in the cosmos world was seized by him, transforming it into a large divine spear that was several meters long. Duan Jipeng held the divine spear and took a step forward. He arrived in front of the exotic beast and swept out his right hand, smashing heavily onto the exotic beast's body. Crackle! A rather horrifying sound rang out. The exotic beast let out a miserable cry and was blasted flying. Its entire body was enveloped by the tribulation energy, and it constantly twitched. On the other hand, Duan Jipeng's footsteps did not stop. He was like a god that had descended to the mortal world. He constantly blasted away the exotic beasts in front of him and slowly approached Lin Long and his wife. On the other hand, Lin Long and his wife were not happy. They were worried that Duan Jipeng could come in, but he might not be able to bring them out. After all, the three exotic beasts that were attacking them were at the late stage of the cosmos tribulation. The exotic beasts were eyeing them covetously. Chapter 41-23. Duan Jipeng's eyes shone with a cold light as he watched the beast approach. He raised the calamity spear with his right hand and threw it out. Swoosh! The calamity spear pierced through space and turned into a blazing stream of light that smashed into the beast. Boom! Boom! A violent explosion rang out. The world that the strange beast had manifested trembled violently under the attack of the spear of calamity. The strange beast let out a wail and was sent flying. Its body seemed to be on the verge of collapsing as blood splattered across the sky. Duan Jipeng's eyes were calm as he raised his right hand. Terrifying strength borrowed the power of the calamity of universe to separate the surrounding beast tide by hundreds of meters. Duan Jipeng charged towards Lin Long and his wife at an even faster speed. Lin Long and his wife were overjoyed when they saw Duan Jipeng cleanly finish off a late-stage Great Tribulation exotic beast. The pressure on them lessened a lot, and they gradually gained the upper hand in the battle with the two exotic beasts. When Duan Jipeng arrived beside them, they had already repelled the beast. Screech! A clear screech suddenly sounded from behind the beast tide. Then, Duan Jipeng and the others were shocked to discover that a wisp of golden light was slowly rising behind them. It was rushing over at an unbelievable speed. It was a giant divine bird that burned with golden flames. When it spread its wings, they were hundreds of meters wide. In particular, the aura emitted by the divine bird was too vast and terrifying. It was like a boundless mountain was crushing down, and it was impossible to turn the situation around. A beast at the peak of the calamity of universe? How is this possible? The moment Duan Jipeng and the others saw the divine bird, their expressions changed drastically, especially when they sensed the powerful aura on its body. What terrified them even more was that after the divine bird flew out, 7 or 8 extremely powerful beasts followed closely behind and charged towards Duan Jipeng and the others. And these beasts were all at the late stage of the calamity of universe. If they were surrounded by this group of beasts, it would be basically impossible for Duan Jipeng and the others to escape. We're doomed. A beast at the peak of the calamity of universe and so many late-stage beasts. We can't deal with them at all. Ling Long said with a ghastly pale face. Screech! The divine bird, whose entire body was burning with golden flames, stared sharply at Duan Jipeng and the others below. It let out a crisp cry, and then quickly swooped down like a falling sun. The 7 or 8 terrifying beasts followed closely behind. Each of them was filled with murderous intent and was unstoppable. Quick! Take this disc and activate the teleportation array on it. Duan Jipeng was shocked. He quickly took out the disc array and handed it to Lin Long and his wife. This is a temporary teleportation array disc array? Brother Duan, are you crazy? It takes a while to teleport, and that's enough time for the divine bird to kill us many times over. Lin Long said with an ugly expression. Trust me, there's still a first-layer eternal grade heaven and earth defensive restriction on this disc array. It's enough to delay us until we teleport away. After he finished speaking, Ling's the teleportation array array. Instantly, a blazing white light gushed out of the disc array and enveloped Duan Jipeng. Seeing Duan Jipeng activate the disc array, Lin Long and his wife knew that this was the only way. They gritted their teeth and activated the disc array. 3 rays of white light enveloped the 3 of them, and the surrounding space began to distort. The golden divine bird's sharp eyes became even colder. Its intelligence was not much weaker than that of human cultivators. In fact, it was even smarter. Therefore, when it saw the 3 of them activating the teleportation array disc, it knew that Duan Jipeng and the others were going to escape. Therefore, its speed soared and it shot out like a sharp arrow. In the blink of an eye, the golden divine bird shot in front of Duan Jipeng and the others. It opened its mouth and spat out endless golden divine flames. The golden divine flame was simply too terrifying. As soon as it was shot out, it seemed as if the entire space was about to be burned into nothingness. The surrounding space cracked, and even the laws were incinerated. Lin Long and his wife's expressions changed drastically. They wanted to escape, but they were in the middle of the teleportation. If they tried to escape, they would suffer a strong backlash. Therefore, they watched helplessly as the terrifying golden divine flames swept towards them. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of them. "We're doomed," Lin Long and his wife thought to themselves. Just when they thought that they were doomed, the golden divine flames rushed towards them. However, they did not feel any heat or pain. They saw that the disc array that was suspended around them suddenly burst out with a ray of green light. It overflowed like a breeze and formed a faint green barrier around them. As for the green barrier, it was constantly surging with green energy. It felt like a withered tree coming back to life. What surprised the Lin Long couple even more was that the green barrier was able to withstand the terrifying golden flames. When Duan Jipeng saw that the green barrier had blocked the golden flames, he finally let out a long sigh of relief. Although Zhuowen had said that there was a first heavenly layer eternal level defensive restriction in the disc array, there was no proof. It was entirely because he trusted Zhuowen that he took the disc array to save them without even trying. However, when Duan Jipeng came back to his senses, his eyes became extremely shocked. This was a first heavenly layer eternal level defensive restriction. Yet, Zhuowen took it out just like that to save someone. This was too generous. Could it be that Brother Zhua is actually an eternal level divine array master? Duan Jipeng suddenly had such an idea in his mind. The more he thought about it, the more likely it was. When Zhuowen casually arranged a half-step eternal level formation inscription, he thought that Zhuowen was just a half-step eternal level divine array master. Now it seemed that he had underestimated Zhuowen. After all, it was not just a half-step eternal level divine array master who could arrange a half-step eternal level formation inscription. An eternal level divine array master could arrange it even more easily. Duan Jipeng's heart was full of excitement. If Yun was really an eternal level divine array master, not only would he not be a burden, but he might also be the most useful existence in their group. Lin Long and his wife also recognized the level of this defensive restriction. They looked at each other and revealed a look of shock. Boom, boom, boom. Seeing that the divine flames were blocked, the golden divine bird became very angry and began to attack wildly. Waves of terrifying attacks fell on the green barrier, causing extremely dense ripples to appear on the barrier. When the golden divine bird launched a fierce attack, the 7 or 8 exotic beasts that followed were not to be outdone. They all released their Qian Kuan world. Suddenly, Duan Jipeng and the other two's faces changed drastically. Under the attacks of these exotic beasts, the green barrier around them began to tremble violently and cracks began to appear. Chapter 41-24. Bush. 3 white lights appeared in the cave where Zhuowen was, and then 3 figures appeared. It was Duan Jipeng, Lin Long, and his wife. "Brother Zhua, you're amazing, thank you." Duan Jipeng spread out his hands, his eyes revealing a look of joy, and then looked at Zhuowen excitedly. Lin Long and his wife were also quite surprised, and at the same time looked at Zhuowen with complicated eyes. They also knew from Duan Jipeng that the 3 formation discs were provided by Zhun. If they were not mistaken, the cyan barrier that appeared in the 3 formation discs should be a first heaven of the eternal grade restriction. Otherwise, it would be impossible to block the joint attack of so many alien beasts of universe and buy enough time for them to teleport. However, what they did not understand was that a first heaven of the eternal grade formation disc was extremely precious. Even they might not be willing to buy such a formation disc. However, Zhuowen was only at the middle stage of the ancient star transformation realm. Not only did he have such a formation disc, but he also used it to save them. "It's okay. It's just a small matter," Zhuowen said with a smile. Duan Jipeng looked at Zhuowen with blazing eyes and said excitedly, "Brother Zhua, you're also a first heaven of the eternal grade divine formation master, right?" Zhuowen was taken aback, and then nodded, saying, Brother Duan, you really have good taste. Lin Long and his wife were so shocked that their jaws almost fell, and they looked at Jun in disbelief. Brother Zhua, thank you for saving our lives. If it weren't for Brother Zhua, we would have been beheaded. Lin Long and his wife came forward and thanked Zhuowen submissively. At the same time, they also apologized for their previous rude behavior. Although Zhuowen's strength was weaker than theirs, with the addition of an eternal level array Godmaster, he was much more useful than them. After all, eternal grade divine formation masters were much rarer than great carefree realm experts. Zhuowen smiled. He didn't care about Lin Long and his wife's attitude towards him. Lin Long and his wife heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that Zhuowen did not pursue the matter. After all, it was not a good thing to offend an eternal level divine array master. Boom, boom. At this moment, a terrifying explosion came from outside the cave. The faces of Zhuowen and Duan Jipeng flickered slightly. Through their spiritual powers, they discovered that outside the cave, the divine bird, whose entire body was burning with golden flames, was leading 7 to 8 beasts of universal calamity and crazily attacking the formation outside the cave. Fortunately, Yuan had already set up a powerful array outside the cave. Otherwise, the cave would have been crushed by the divine bird. Brother Zhua, their attacks are too ferocious. I'm afraid your formation won't last long, right? Duan Jipeng said with a pale face. Zhuowen's 10 fingers moved in quick succession. Formation runes surged out like a tidal wave, constantly mending the damaged parts of the formation outside the cave. This is not a long-term solution. Brother Zhua, the rate at which the formation is being damaged is much faster than the rate at which you can repair it. Lin Long and his wife also came to the entrance of the cave, looking quite frightened. The beast tide is escaping. As long as we can hold on, these beasts won't stay for long, Zhuowen said calmly. About a quarter of an hour later, the divine bird outside the cave led 7 to 8 beasts. They let out extremely unwilling cries, then gave up the attack and fled outside. After the beast tide left, Yuan breathed a sigh of relief and stopped fiddling with his 10 fingers. As for the great array outside the cave, it could no longer withstand Zhuowen's actions and collapsed. Zhuowen's face was pale, and he had a splitting headache. His spirit was damaged because of this. After all, the combined attack of 7 to 8 beasts and a divine bird at the peak of the cosmos tribulation was very difficult for even Zhuowen to resist. If the beasts had not retreated first, Yuan might not have been able to hold on. After the beast tide retreated, Yuan and the others came out of the cave. After that, a terrifying pressure spread out from the depths of the Snow Flame Valley and covered the entire Snow Flame Valley. Look, what's that? Zhuowen and the others hurriedly came out of the cave and saw a pillar of light shooting into the sky from the depths of the Snow Flame Valley, as if it had pierced through the sky. At the same time, figures dashed out from every corner of the Snow Flame Valley like a swarm of locusts as they charged towards the location of the light pillar. It must be the birth of the cosmic aspect tomb. Let's go and take a look. Duan Jipeng's eyes were filled with excitement as he led Zhuowen and the others into the depths. Due to the beast tide, the deeper they went into the Snow Flame Valley, the fewer beasts there were. When they arrived at the open space where the light pillar was, they did not see any more beasts. The source of the light pillar was a deep pool that was thousands of feet wide. At this moment, a huge whirlpool had appeared in the center of the pool, and the light pillar was formed from the whirlpool and shot into the sky. They also realized that the figures from every corner of the Snow Flame Valley had all rushed into the whirlpool. The tomb of the cosmic aspect expert should be in the depths of the whirlpool. Duan Jipeng said with a burning gaze. It seems that many people have already entered the depths of the tomb. Let's go in quickly. Lin Long said anxiously. Zhuowen stopped them, which made Duan Jipeng and the others very confused. Don't go in first. This whirlpool is not simple. Zhuowen's eyes were solemn. His consciousness was stronger than Duan Jipeng's and the others, so he realized that there was something strange about the whirlpool. In addition, he also found many powerful auras in the 4 huge mountains around the pool, and some of them were very familiar. These people had obviously arrived early, but they deliberately hid in the mountains and did not go in. They must have realized that there was something strange about the whirlpool. At this moment, shrill screams came from the whirlpool, and then it quieted down in an instant. After a short period of silence, a strange clicking sound came from the depths of the whirlpool. The sound was like the noise of rusty gears that were struggling to turn, and it was very unpleasant to the ears. The strange sound became louder and louder, and finally, under Zhuowen's shocked gaze, a bronze tombstone rushed out of the whirlpool and broke into pieces in midair. After the tombstone broke into pieces, a complete world continued to expand and hung in midair above the snow flame valley. This is the inner world of the cosmic aspect expert, right? His tomb must be in here. It seems that it was a trap, and whoever enters it will die. Zhuowen said calmly. Duan Jipeng and Lin Long were sweating profusely. They had been overjoyed just now, and fortunately, Duan had stopped them. Otherwise, they would not have had a good ending. It's safe now. Go in. The moment this world appeared, a devilish purple-haired youth rushed into the sky from a mountain, turned into a purple light, and jumped into the world. The purple-haired youth was like a catalyst. When he rushed into the world, the many experts in the surrounding mountains who had been waiting for a long time appeared and rushed into the world. Let's go. We can't fall behind. Chapter 41-25. Boom, boom, boom. When Zhuowen and the others entered this strange world, they immediately noticed that it was filled with all kinds of extremely powerful tribulations. They landed at the bottom of a remote cliff, and a black lightning bolt as thick as a bucket struck down, cutting off the top of the cliff. Countless huge rocks fell towards them. This is the inner world of a cosmic Dharma powerhouse. It's much more powerful than the Qian Kuan world of a cosmic tribulation powerhouse. Try to avoid the tribulations in this world. Don't take them head-on. Duan Jipeng said solemnly. Zhuowen and Lin Long nodded. They didn't need Duan Jipeng's reminder. They could already feel the terrifying tribulations that existed throughout the entire world. There must be a large number of treasures left behind by that cosmic Dharma powerhouse in this world. If we can get one, it'll be an unimaginable opportunity. Lin Long and his wife's eyes were filled with excitement. If we can find the real tomb of that cosmic Dharma powerhouse, it'll be a great opportunity. Hun smiled faintly. That's too difficult. There are too many powerhouses entering the tomb this time. It'll be difficult for us to compete with them. Lin Long and his wife shook their heads and smiled bitterly. That's not necessarily true. Zhuan shook his head and took the lead to rush into the depths of the world. Half a day later, Yuan and the others arrived at a red maple forest. In this maple forest, red maple leaves floated and swept through the forest like a sea of blood. It was as if there were agile blood pythons hidden in the forest. At this moment, there were many cultivators outside this blood-like forest. They all stopped and didn't dare to move forward, their faces full of fear. This forest is strange. Let's not go in first. Let's ask the others first. Duan Jipeng raised his head and landed beside the nearest cultivator. After the young cultivator felt Duan Jipeng's powerful aura, his expression changed slightly. He didn't dare to neglect Duan Jipeng's questions and basically answered everything he knew. It said that there's a divine herb garden hidden in the depths of this blood-red forest. Previously, several powerhouses of the Great Tribulation of Universe broke in and even took out an eternal rank 1 divine herb. When he spoke up to hear, Duan Jipeng's expression became solemn instead, and he continued. However, this blood-red forest is extremely terrifying. Supposedly, even those experts of the universe tribulation were heavily injured and barely escaped with their lives. Are you going to go in? The Lin Long couple's expressions changed slightly. Even an expert of the Great Tribulation of Universe had been severely injured. This blood forest was definitely not simple. Wealth comes from danger. If you're not even willing to take this little risk, how can you still want to advance bravely on the path of cultivation? Zhuowen said solemnly. When Lin Long and his wife saw that Zhuowen had agreed to go in, they gritted their teeth and agreed to explore the depths of this place. Good. Let's go in. Duan Jipeng nodded and led the three of them towards the entrance of the Scarlet Forest. However, just as they were about to step into the entrance of the Scarlet Forest, A divine spear came through the air and blasted towards where Duan Jipeng and the others were. Duan Jipeng's expression changed slightly. With a wave of his sleeve, he swept Zhuowen and the other two away and fiercely retreated backwards. Boom! The divine spear moved as fast as lightning, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived at the entrance of the Scarlet Forest. Intense energy ripples spread out, and the ground directly exploded into a huge crater. In the middle of the crater, a silver divine spear stood there quietly. A sparkling silver-white light flickered on the spear's body. "Who is it?" Duan Jipeng frowned and asked with an unsightly expression. This young master has taken a fancy to this treasure land." Scram! A gentle but domineering voice came from the distance. Everyone saw a group of cultivators quickly approaching. Strangely, the cultivators of this group were all in the form of human faces and snake bodies. It's actually the Nuwa clan's team. Outside the blood-colored forest, numerous whispers rang out. Fear was revealed in their eyes. The Nuwa clan was one of the higher realms. Their foundation was much deeper than the average higher realms. Most of them here were independent cultivators and cultivators from lower realms. They really didn't dare to offend the Nuwa clan. At the front of the Nuwa clan's team was a gentle-looking youth. He was the genius ranked 72nd on the Outer World rankings, Lai Rong. The one who had spoken arrogantly was Lai Rong. The Nuwa clan's team landed at the entrance of the Scarlet Forest. Lai Rong waved his right hand, and the silver divine spear appeared in his hand. He then looked at Duan Jipeng, and the other two with a rather arrogant gaze. Duan Jipeng's gaze slowly turned cold. They had really searched high and low for something. He had originally wanted to cause trouble for the Nuwa clan, but he hadn't expected Lai Rong to deliver himself to his doorstep. Zhuowen was carefully sizing up Lai Rong as well. Duan Jipeng had told him that the fastest way to obtain a token to enter the Outer Realm battlefield was to seize a cultivator who possessed such a token. They didn't know if the others who had entered this time possessed a slot token, but basically all the geniuses on the Outer World rankings possessed one. Thus, Duan Jipeng had already set a few targets for Zhuowen before they entered, and Lai Rong was one of them. "Why aren't you scramming?" Lai Rong couldn't help but frown when he saw that Duan Jipeng, and the other two were sizing him up with a strange gaze. He shouted coldly, "Ha! How impressive! Could it be that the Nuwa clan owns this Scarlet Forest?" Duan Jipeng mocked. "You really are bold. You clearly know that we're from the Nuwa clan, yet you still dare to provoke us. Do you think your life is too long?" Lai Rong's gaze turned cold. "Young master, do you want me to annihilate them?" The black-robed old man by Lai Rong's side spoke in a sinister voice. "Elder He, then I'll have to trouble you to kill all four of them." Lai Rong looked down indifferently at Zhuowen and the others, and it was as if he was looking at ants. Elder He nodded, and then he stepped through the air and looked indifferently at Duan Jipeng's group of four. He said, "All of you shouldn't have offended the young master. If you had fucked Ket off early, you wouldn't have suffered such a calamity. Unfortunately, all of you insist on courting death." As he spoke, Elder He suddenly released his aura. Instantly, the entire Scarlet Forest trembled violently under his aura, and layers of strange distortions appeared in the surrounding space. A peak expert of the universe tribulation? At the outer area of the Scarlet Forest, all the cultivators gasped when they sensed the terrifying aura on Elder He, and their eyes were filled with terror. Chapter 41-26. Shouldn't be offended? You guys think too highly of yourselves. Duan Jipeng laughed. He took a step forward and floated in front of Elder He. His terrifying aura, no weaker than Elder He's, burst out and completely blocked Elder He's pressure. Another expert at the pinnacle of the Great Qian Kuan Tribulation. How terrifying! The crowd was in an uproar. Obviously, they did not expect the unknown Jipeng group of four to have a pinnacle expert at the pinnacle of the Great Qian Kuan Tribulation. For you. Lai Rong frowned slightly as he coldly glanced at Duan Jipeng. He did not expect that this unfamiliar fellow would actually be an expert with such strength. There were not many pinnacle experts at the pinnacle of the Great Qian Kuan Tribulation who had entered the tomb this time. He recognized most of them. However, the man in front of him was very unfamiliar and he did not recognize him. Moreover, he keenly noticed that Duan Jipeng's face had obviously been changed. This guy was not using his real face. Duan Jipeng grinned and did not answer Lai Rong. Instead, he stepped into the void with his right foot and rushed past Elder He toward Lai Rong. Humph! You're courting death. Elder He snorted and summoned his Qian Kuan world. He seized the tribulation energy within and turned it into countless thunderbolts that blasted toward Duan Jipeng. Duan Jipeng frowned and had to turn around and summon his Qian Kuan world to resist the tribulation energy released by Elder He. When Duan Jipeng had completely neutralized the thunderbolt energy, Elder He had already appeared in front of him and launched a thunderbolt attack on him without hesitation. Boom! 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 The energy shockwaves caused by the two pinnacle experts of the Great Qian Kuan Tribulation were extremely terrifying. Endless energy fluctuations swept out in all directions like waves. Wherever they passed, the earth cracked and the sky darkened. The faces of the many cultivators who had gathered outside the blood forest changed drastically. They retreated and watched from afar. What made everyone even more shocked was that the blood forest, which seemed to be unable to withstand a single blow, was actually completely unharmed in the battle. This blood forest really has some tricks up its sleeves. The special arrangement of the trees inside has formed an extremely complicated and powerful defensive formation. Its power is comparable to a formation at the first heaven of the eternal level. Zhuowen retreated into the distance. His eyes landed on the blood forest as he muttered in his heart, "Brother Zhuo, what should we do now?" Lin Long and his wife were a little flustered. After all, the Nuwa clan was not a small force. It was a true hegemon. Offending the Nuwa clan here was not a good thing for them. Now that you're here, it's not the time to be apprehensive. If you want to obtain the good fortune, then you must pay a sufficient price. Go and capture Lai Rong. I will set up a formation behind you to support you, Zhuowen said calmly. Although Lin Long and his wife were opportunistic, they knew the severity of the situation. Therefore, they summoned their respective Qiankuan worlds and charged towards Lai Rong. It's actually two late-stage universe tribulation experts. What exactly is the background of this team? Isn't this lineup a little too terrifying? When Lin Long and his wife also made their move, the surrounding crowd was really shocked, and there was an uproar. Lai Rong's eyes narrowed. His originally calm face finally showed a trace of surprise. This is interesting. 9 protectors, 10 protectors, you two block the 2 of them. The rest of you, assist the 2 protectors in destroying these 2. Lai Rong stood proudly and ordered the team around him in an orderly manner. 2 middle-aged men with sharp eyes rushed out from behind Lai Rong and led the Nuwa clan team to charge towards Lin Long and his wife. Lai Rong did not even look at Zhuowen. After all, Zhuowen's aura was too weak. He was only at the mid-stage ancient star transformation realm. He did not have the qualifications to be taken seriously by Lai Rong. Immediately, the 2 protectors of the Nuwa clan led the team and surrounded Lin Long and his wife. The 9 protectors and 10 protectors were late-stage universe tribulation experts. In addition, the Nuwa clan team was besieging them in a special formation. Therefore, Lin Long and his wife were at a disadvantage. What is this kid doing? Isn't he courting death by going over like this? When the 2 groups of people were fighting, the crowd immediately noticed that Zhuowen, who had been quietly standing at the side, suddenly walked towards the battle. Naturally, the crowd could see that Jun was the weakest of the 4. He was only at the mid-stage ancient star transformation realm. Entering the battle with such a cultivation level was suicide. However, they didn't notice that Zhuowen's 10 fingers were lightly dancing in the air as he walked. Numerous powerful formation runes leaped out from his fingertips, as if they were spiritual notes, magical and mysterious. Formation, rise. When Zhuowen arrived at the battle where Lin Long and his wife were fighting, his eyes shone brightly. Then he waved his sleeve, and endless formation runes shot into the sky like a dragon. It was terrifying. It's a formation? Is this guy a divine array master? No, this is a first firmament eternal formation? Lai Rong, who had been indifferent, immediately noticed the terrifying formation runes. He did not pay much attention at first, but after sensing the formation, his body trembled and his face stiffened. The formation was like a cage, trapping the two enforcers and all the other cultivators of the Nuwa clan within. Streaks of terrifying killing intent burst out from every corner of the formation and rushed towards the Nuwa clan cultivators inside the formation. Screams rang out continuously. Cultivators below the universe tribulation level could not withstand the killing intent of the formation and were all annihilated. Only the two protectors, who were the strongest, could barely withstand the terrifying killing intent of the formation. Strangely, Lin Long and his wife, who were also in the formation, were unharmed. Kill! Lin Long and his wife were invigorated. Knowing that this was a great opportunity, they attacked the two protectors fiercely with all their might. In an instant, the two protectors were completely at a disadvantage, and their injuries increased. Zhuan floated outside the formation and moved his fingers. After setting up the killing formation, he set up a trapping formation and a maze formation. No matter how strong the two protectors were, it would be difficult for them to leave the range of the formation until they died. Damn it! This guy is an eternal divine array master. I must kill him. Lai Rong gritted his teeth, and a strong killing intent flashed in his eyes. He stopped watching and charged toward Zhuan with murderous intent. He knew very well that if he did not kill this young man, their team would be wiped out. Brother Zhua, watch out. Duan Jipeng had been paying attention to this side. He immediately noticed Lai Rong's attack and shouted to warn Zhuan. Zhuan did not seem to hear him. He continued to move his fingers and ignored Lai Rong, who was getting closer and closer. This guy is finished. He's still setting up the formation. He can't even escape. Now, Lai Rong is ranked 72nd on the Outer Realm Heaven list. His strength is comparable to an almighty in the early stage of the Qianquan tribulation. Everyone secretly shook their heads, thinking that Zhuowen was doomed. Die, you bastard! Lai Rong rushed in front of Zhuan and took out his natal lone star. He held the silver spear in his hand and stabbed toward Zhuowen's forehead. However, Lai Rong did not expect the young man in front of him to slowly raise his head and grin at him. Chapter 41:27. When the white light faded, Duan and Lai Rong appeared in the formation where Lin Long and his wife were. Don't resist. Leave with me. Zhuan appeared beside Lin Long and his wife and grabbed their hands. He crushed the formation disc that he had prepared earlier, and the three of them were enveloped by the white light again. Damn it. What a cunning fellow. He actually prepared the teleportation formation long ago just to teleport me into it. Lai Rong's expression immediately turned ugly when he appeared in the formation as he muttered. However, when he saw Zhuan carrying Lin Long and his wife away, his expression finally changed. Bastard, don't even think about leaving. Lai Rong gnashed his teeth, rushing explosively toward Zhuowen without the slightest grace. The incomparably massive life-bound lone star shot out violently, rumbling over as if it had teleported. However, the moment Lai Rong released his attack, the formation rippled like water. Terrifying waves of killing intent surged out and blocked all of Lai Rong's attacks. Lai Rong's forward momentum was stopped because of this. At the same time, Yuan and his wife disappeared from the formation in the white light. Outside the formation, Yuan, Lin Long, and his wife appeared not too far away. Brother Zhua, did you plan to do this long ago? Lin Long and his wife looked at him with reverence. Zhuowen's series of actions earlier had been too smooth. If he had not planned it beforehand, it would have been impossible for him to do it so smoothly. In other words, Zhuan had already thought of how to deal with Lai Rong before Lai Rong had made his move. The two of them were terrified by his temperament and schemes. Zhuan smiled and did not answer. Instead, he looked at Lai Rong in the formation and said, "When I was setting up the formation, I was afraid that you wouldn't come. Fortunately, you didn't disappoint me." Inside the array, Lai Rong was fuming with anger when he heard this. He also realized that he had been tricked. Your formation is not bad, but it's probably not enough to deal with me and my two protectors. You should be aware that we are members of the Nuwa clan, and we aren't people that independent cultivators like you can afford to offend. Now, if you undo the grand formation, this young master will not pursue the matter of your offense from before. Moreover, this young master can even be merciful and allow all of you to enter this blood forest. How about it? Lai Rong's gaze flickered as he suddenly spoke indifferently. He was absolutely confident. After all, the Niwa clan that stood behind him wasn't an ordinary power, and it was extremely enormous. It wasn't an existence that ordinary cultivators were willing to offend. In his opinion, if Zhuan and the others were smart, they wouldn't really be so heavy-handed. Aren't you a little too confident in yourself? Your suggestion is just bullshit to me. Zhuan shook his head and slowly took out an array flag from his bosom. The array flag was pentagonal, and there were dense and complicated array patterns drawn on it. What are you trying to do? Lai Rong had a bad feeling the moment he saw the array flag. You'll know soon enough. Zhuan was expressionless. Terrifying divine power surged from his palm and poured into the array flag in his hand. Instantly, the array flag was annihilated. Then, cracks began to appear on the surface of the grand formation where Lai Rong was. A terrifying aura of destruction filled the interior of the grand formation. What are you trying to do? Lai Rong and the two guardians' expressions changed completely when they sensed the terrifying aura of destruction. I wonder if the three of you can withstand the self-destruction of a first firmament eternal grade grand formation? Zhuowen's lips curled into a smile, but his indifferent voice rang out. Instantly, there was an uproar among the crowd. The Linlong couple was so shocked that their mouths were agape. You're crazy? Lai Rong, who had always been calm, completely lost his composure. His entire body began to tremble. He knew very well how powerful the self-destruction of a first firmament eternal grade grand formation was. Even an expert at the peak of the great calamity of universe would be severely injured, let alone them. The two of you, let's retreat for a while. Zhuan looked at the Linlong couple with a smile. But the Linlong couple came back to their senses. Their expressions became even more complicated and fearful. They hurriedly retreated with Zhuan. The black-robed old man, who was originally fighting with Duan Jipeng, naturally also noticed the grand formation that was about to self-destruct. Little bastard, you're courting death. Hurry up and release the young master and the others. The black-robed old man no longer cared about fighting with Duan Jipeng. Instead, he flew toward Zhuowen with bloodshot eyes. Humph! Old man, your opponent is me. Why are you running? Duan Jipeng snorted coldly. Naturally, he would not let the black-robed old man leave. He entangled him so tightly that it was impossible for him to escape. The grand formation in the sky had reached the limit of collapse. Then, with a loud boom, it began to explode continuously. The entire grand formation collapsed. The energy generated was so terrifying that it seemed as if the entire sky had been pierced through. No, within the grand formation, the shrill screams of Lai Rong and the two guardians resounded. It sounded exceptionally horrifying. The grand formation's explosion lasted for more than 10 minutes before it finally stopped. 3 wretched figures fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. Zhuowen brought Lin Long and his wife to where the 3 of them had fallen. The 2 protectors' bodies were on the verge of collapse. They were dripping with blood and on the verge of death. On the other hand, although Lai Rong was seriously injured, his injuries were much lighter than the 2 guardians. It seemed that the moment the grand formation exploded, the 2 guardians should have sacrificed themselves to protect Lai Rong. Otherwise, Lai Rong would have died on the spot. You're so despicable. You actually used the grand formation to self-destruct. That's an unfair victory. Lai Rong said with an ugly expression. However, Zhuowen sneered and said, formation techniques are also a type of strength. Speaking of unfair victory, I can't compare to you. After all, you directly outnumbered me. As he said, Zhuowen lifted Lai Rong with his right hand and searched Lai Rong's storage divine artifact without any hesitation. At the same time, he even found a token inlaid with golden jade at Lai Rong's waist. On the front of the token, the word, battle, was engraved. This should be the foreign battlefield's quota token. Zhuowen's eyes revealed a glint and accepted this token without any trace of politeness. When Lai Rong saw that Jun was so shameless, actually plundering the items on his body, he was shocked and enraged. And the two guardians who were on their last breaths glared at Jun. If not for them being seriously injured, they might have long exploded and attacked Jun. Chapter 41-28. Duan Jipeng was only half a step away from condensing the cosmic aspect, so he was slightly stronger than the black-robed old man. Therefore, he had basically held the upper hand since the beginning of the battle. Although the black-robed old man was going all out with every move, it was completely useless. Instead, the injuries on his body became more and more serious. Young master. After seeing Lai Rong and the other two captured alive by Jun, the black-robed old man was furious. He immediately panicked, and Duan Jipeng found a flaw and attacked with all his strength. Spurt! The black-robed old man suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his figure flew out in a sorry state. Just you wait. We won't let this go just like that. The black-robed old man roared angrily and fled into the distance at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, what no one noticed was that before the black-robed old man left, he took out a black and gold talisman and quietly crushed it. What an ingenious escape technique. Duan Jipeng wanted to give chase, but the black-robed old man was too fast. In the blink of an eye, he became a distant Xiao He. Duan Jipeng knew that he couldn't catch up with his speed at all, so he simply gave up. Brother Zhuo, you're really awesome. I didn't expect the formation to self-destruct. After Duan Jipeng returned to Zhuowen's side, he couldn't help but give Zhuowen a thumbs up and clicked his tongue in admiration. If he had been at the center of the explosion, even he would have been severely injured. Lin Long and his wife revealed deep respect in their eyes. Brother Duan, I'll leave these three to you. Zhuowen looked at Duan Jipeng and said. Duan Jipeng had an irreconcilable enmity with the Nuwa clan, so Zhuowen knew that it was most appropriate to leave Lai Rong and the other two to Duan Jipeng. Duan Jipeng only glanced indifferently at Lai Rong and the other two and said, "Just kill them. Let me do it." Lai Rong's pupils constricted, and he immediately said loudly, "You can't kill me. If you kill me, you'll become sworn enemies with the Nuwa clan. At that time, you'll be wanted by the Nuwa clan. Will you let bygones be bygones if I let you go? Do you really think I'm a fool? Moreover, we've already become mortal enemies." Duan Jipeng's eyes were cold as he pointed the sword finger of his right hand at the space between the 10 protectors' eyebrows. Powerful divine power gushed out and annihilated the 10 protectors' divine souls. Then, he did the same thing and killed the 9 protectors. In the end, his gaze landed on Lai Rong. You're a genius on the Outer Realm heavenly ranking, and you're even more famous among the younger generation of the Nuwa clan. If you die, I think the Nuwa clan will probably feel the pain. Duan Jipeng smiled coldly, then slowly pointed his sword finger at Lai Rong's forehead. Lai Rong's eyes flashed. His right hand silently reached out. Black gold flashed at the center of his palm. Upon closer inspection, one could see that there was a black gold talisman in his palm. Suddenly, the black gold talisman was crushed, and a strange black gold light enveloped Lai Rong's entire body. After which, Lai Rong swiftly fled into the distance like a gust of wind. All of you remember this. I'll remember this enmity, and I'll definitely repay you double in the future. At the instant that Lai Rong used the talisman to flee, his resentful voice sounded from afar. Bang! Duan Jipeng suddenly punched the ground beneath his feet and said, "Just a little bit more." I didn't expect Lai Rong to have a backup plan. Zhuowen frowned slightly. Lai Rong's speed was too fast just now, and even he couldn't react in time. However, he found it strange. He'd clearly searched Lai Rong's entire body, so where did he get that black gold talisman from? Let's go. Let's go take a look at the depths of the blood forest. Zhuowen said in a low voice. Duan Jipeng recovered his calm and nodded. Brother Zhuo is right. Since Lai Rong and the others value the blood forest so much, the things hidden inside should be extraordinary. After Duan Jipeng entered the blood forest, the numerous cultivators in the periphery didn't dare approach. Even the Nuwa clan's team had fallen at the hands of Duan Jipeng's team, so how could they dare go against this team? There's a powerful sealing formation hidden within the blood forest. However, I've already studied it thoroughly. You only need to follow me. After entering the blood forest, Yuan reminded Duan Jipeng and Linlong. When he was setting up the formation to deal with Lai Rong, he had already secretly observed the blood forest. He already knew the location and plan of the formation like the back of his hand. As long as they didn't trigger the formation restrictions in the blood forest, their group wouldn't encounter too much of a threat. Moreover, as they went deeper, they also discovered that there were no other powerful exotic beasts in the blood forest. It seemed that the experts of the universe tribulation who were heavily injured by the blood forest were all injured by the formation formed by the terrain of the blood forest. When they reached the depths of the blood forest, they finally heaved a sigh of relief. Duan Jipeng and Linlong looked at Zhuowen's back with excitement. If not for Zhun, a god array master, they would have to barge their way through the blood forest. And the price they had to pay could be said to be enormous. That's Divine Medicine Garden? Suddenly, Linlong and his wife cried out in surprise. In front of them, there was a huge open space surrounded by blood-colored rocks, and there was a medicinal garden. Inside this medicinal garden, there were many medicinal fields. In each medicinal field, there were divine medicines with oppressive medicinal auras. Let's go! Let's go in and take a look. However, don't act rashly, because there are also terrifying restrictive formations inside. Zhuowen reminded. Duan Jipeng and the other two, who had originally lost their minds because of the medicinal garden, immediately became much more clear-headed after being reminded by Zhuowen. The group of 4 carefully walked into the medicinal garden. Sure enough, they discovered that the medicinal fields in the medicinal garden were basically surrounded by large formations that were seething with murderous intent. There were even some medicinal fields that had extremely powerful guardian puppets in them. At the same time, they also discovered that several medicinal fields were bare. From the shattered array patterns around them, it could be seen that the restrictions on these medicinal fields were forcefully broken by someone. Obviously, it should be the doing of the universe tribulation experts who had forcefully barged in to seize the divine medicines. The 3 of you, I only want that medicinal field. The rest of the medicinal fields will be divided equally among you 3. How about it? Zhuowen suddenly pointed to the medicinal field in the deepest part of the medicinal garden. In that medicinal field, it was the smallest medicinal field in the medicinal garden. Beside the medicinal field, there was a simple and crude hut. Although this medicinal field was small, the quality of the divine medicines planted in it was extremely high. The worst was a half-step eternal rank divine medicine, and there were many eternal rank 1 divine medicines. Duan Jipeng, Linlong and his wife looked at each other and agreed to Zhuowen's suggestion. Chapter 41-29. Over the next period of time, Zhuowen found the eye of the formation in every plot of land and told them the corresponding method to get through the formations. He got Duan Jipeng and the others to get through the formations in the divine medicinal garden themselves. He went to the deepest part of the herb field. Although the herb field was not big, the array restriction on its surface was the most complicated one in the divine herb garden. Zhuowen was right. The array restriction on the herb field had reached the peak of the first heaven of the eternal grade. Even if it was Zhuowen, he would still need some time before he could remove the restriction. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. Duan Jipeng and Linlong had found the array core and broken a part of the herb field. They had already gained a lot. On the other hand, Zhuowen was still sitting in front of the deepest part of the herb field like an old monk. The array restriction on the surface of the herb field did not budge and was not broken. This calmness only lasted for 10 days. Zhuowen, who had been motionless, suddenly opened his eyes. Then his 10 fingers were like flames dancing on a flame, constantly dancing in the air. As his 10 fingers danced, numerous complicated and dense runes were born from his fingertips. These array runes were like a monstrous tsunami. They surged out and violently attacked the array in front of them. Boom, boom, boom. The array, which was originally as calm as water, shook violently the moment it came into contact with the array runes. Waves of violent ripples emerged and strange cracking sounds came from the array runes. Zhuowen's eyes were calm. For the past 10 days, he had been looking for the array core of the array core. Now that he had found it, he was very confident in breaking the array core. Suddenly, a crisp cracking sound came from the array core. Then, dense cracks appeared on the surface of the array core. In a spurt of energy, Yuan increased the output of the formation patterns. In the end, the formation could not hold on any longer and completely collapsed. Duan Jipeng and Lin Long also noticed the commotion on Zhuowen's side, but they didn't go forward. After all, they had already allocated the herb field. It was against the rules to enter Zhuowen's herb field without permission. After stepping into the medicinal field, Zhuowen found that the lowest level of divine herbs in this medicinal field was half-step eternal grade, while the highest had reached the peak of rank 1 eternal grade. At a glance, there were more than a dozen eternal rank 1 divine herbs, and even more half-step eternal rank divine herbs. Zhuowen's eyes blazed as he stepped into the medicinal field and carefully plucked the divine herbs. Then he took out a jade box that he had prepared in advance from the outside world and placed them inside one by one, carefully preserving them. After Zhuowen collected the divine herbs in the herb field, his gaze fell on the little cottage not far from the herb field. This was the only building in the divine herb garden. Although it was inconspicuous, it was quite strange that it was built in such a precious divine herb garden. Zhuowen stepped into the cottage. The decoration inside was very simple. There was only a straw mat, a bamboo table, and a bamboo chair. Other than that, there was nothing else. Zhuowen frowned slightly. He began to search the entire cottage. After looking inside and out, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. This was the most ordinary thatched hut. Suddenly, Yuan noticed an inconspicuous groove on the stone slab next to the straw mat. He gently tapped with his right hand. Suddenly, as if struck by lightning, a strange golden thunderbolt burst out from it and fell into Zhuowen's body. Finally, someone broke into the herb field where I passed away. Boy, you must be a divine array master at the first heaven of eternal grade. Otherwise, it would be impossible for you to break into the core of my herb field. Be obedient and don't resist. After I take over your body, I will naturally make your name resound throughout the world, and you will never be destroyed. The golden thunderbolt followed Zhuowen's meridians and quickly swept toward Zhuowen's divine soul in between his eyebrows. The gloomy voice resounded in Zhuowen's mind. Possession? Zhuowen's pupils shrank. He immediately understood the golden thunderbolt's intention. However, Yuan didn't resist. Instead, he revealed a faint mocking smile. How obedient! Since you are so cooperative, I will live in your name in the future. Don't worry, I will definitely let you walk to the peak of the experts. You can go without worry. Seeing that Zhuowen really didn't resist, the golden thunderbolt was overjoyed. It rushed towards the depths of Zhuowen's divine soul at an even faster speed. However, the moment the golden thunderbolt entered the depths of Zhuowen's divine soul, the two primordial stones that were originally located in his divine soul immediately burst out with extremely blazing purple light. Then, they automatically launched a fierce attack against the golden thunderbolt. What is this? This is the primordial stone. No, don't strangle my divine soul. I was wrong. I won't take over your body again. A shrill scream reverberated in the depths of Zhuowen's divine soul. Then, it came to an abrupt end. This powerful divine soul had been refined by the primordial stone and turned into nutrients to nourish Zhuowen's divine soul. Take over my body? Isn't that courting death? Zhuowen sneered. In the past, he had experienced being taken over many times. However, due to the protection of the primordial stone, the person who took over his body was basically dead. What a surging divine soul power! It seems that the owner of this divine soul should be an expert at the peak of the great calamity of heaven and earth. Yuan felt that his divine soul was rapidly becoming stronger. His eyes suddenly revealed a look of pleasant surprise. Originally, after his array Dao level broke through to the first heaven of the eternal grade, his divine soul had undergone a great transformation. It had reached the early stage of the great calamity of heaven and earth. However, this time, under the nourishment of this divine soul power, his divine soul power was skyrocketing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, it broke through to the middle stage of the great calamity of heaven and earth. Moreover, the growth of his divine soul power did not stop at all. It continued to break through until it reached the peak of the great calamity of heaven and earth. Zhuan was pleasantly surprised. After absorbing the power of this mysterious divine soul, his divine soul had undergone a great transformation. With the help of his powerful divine soul power, his array Dao and alchemy Dao could be further improved in a short period of time. In addition, the power of his divine soul sword essence was probably finally able to threaten the experts of the great calamity of heaven and earth. This could be considered one of his current trump cards. Just as Zhuan was feeling excited, a surge of information poured into the depths of his mind like a tide. This should be the memory of this divine soul. This guy is actually an array Dao master and alchemy master at the first heaven of the eternal grade. When he checked this memory, Zhuan was pleasantly surprised. The divine soul's owner's alchemy Dao and array Dao level were extremely high. They were both above him. Chapter 4130. From Bai Tiangong's memories, Yun also understood quite a bit about the cosmic Dharma powerhouse. This cosmic Dharma powerhouse was called Lu Yanhua. He was an extremely powerful independent cultivator and was rather famous in the 100 domains. It was said that Lu Yanhua had died because he had been severely injured by the combined forces of several experts from higher domains while fighting for information on a historical site. He had fled to the witch domain to hide. As Lu Yanhua's injuries were too severe, he had died here in the end. His grave was sealed in his Chenkuan world, while his Chenkuan world was hidden in the most dangerous Snowflame Valley in the Witch Domain. As an absolute cosmic Dharma powerhouse, Lu Yanhua naturally had many followers. Bai Tiangong was one of his many followers and also one of Lu Yanhua's most valued subordinates. He had always looked after the divine medicinal garden for Lu Yanhua. As Lu Yanhua was heavily injured, his cosmic Dharma and Chenkuan world both collapsed. The followers he had placed in the Chenkuan world were unable to withstand the terrifying power and most of them died on the spot. Bai Tiangong's luck was pretty good. His physical body had been destroyed in that battle. Fortunately, his soul was relatively strong, so he had managed to survive. Moreover, he had been hiding in the divine medicinal garden all this time, waiting for someone to enter the divine medicinal garden while he waited for an opportunity to possess the body. Unfortunately, Bai Tiangong had encountered Zhuan. Possessing Zhuan was undoubtedly courting death. With Bai Tiangong's memories, I know Lu Yanhua's grave like the back of my hand. Zhuan's eyes shone brightly. He could not help but grin excitedly. Bai Tiangong was one of Lu Yanhua's most valued subordinates. He was far more familiar with Lu Yanhua's Chenkuan world than they were. Zhuan had obtained Bai Tiangong's memories. Not only had he inherited Bai Tiangong's understanding of formations and pills, but he had also basically grasped this damaged Chenkuan world completely. Bai Tiangong really hid his strength well. He actually hid the yin-yang calamity pool in here. Zhuan's eyes shone brightly. He arrived under the straw mat and swept it away with a wave of his sleeve. Under the straw mat, there was a bronze door board. On the surface of the door board, there were all kinds of complicated patterns, looking very mysterious. This bronze door was called the Heaven-Deceiving Lock. It was a mechanism that Bai Tiangong had created himself. It could deceive the consciousness of the universe's Dharma adepts. It was an incredible mechanism. This was also the reason why Zhuan couldn't find anything else under the straw mat even after searching for so long. Zhuan unlocked the heaven-concealing lock according to Bai Tiangong's memory. The bronze door opened to both sides, revealing a deep passageway. After Zhuan entered the tunnel, he walked for about 15 minutes before reaching the bottom. At the end of the tunnel, there was a secret room made of bronze. In the center of the secret room, there was a black and white pool that was 10 feet wide. Strands of extremely terrifying tribulation energy surged within the pool. The water was like a whirlpool that constantly revolved and emitted a clamorous noise that sounded like rushing thunder. This must be the Yin-Yang Calamity Pool. Zhuowen's eyes were blazing. The Yin-Yang Calamity Pool was extremely valuable. Even the adepts of the Great Calamity of Qian Kuan would be extremely jealous of it. This was because the Yin-Yang Calamity Pool could not only accelerate the cultivation of the ancient star transformation experts, but after absorbing the energy of the Yin-Yang Calamity Pool, it would effectively increase the resistance of the body to the Great Calamity of Qian Kuan in the future. In addition, the adepts of the Great Calamity of Qian Kuan could also use the Yin-Yang Calamity Pool to increase the power of the Great Calamity of Qian Kuan in their Qian Kuan world. To the adepts of the ancient star transformation and the Great Calamity of Qian Kuan, this was a rare treasure. Zhuowen's current cultivation was at the middle stage of the ancient star transformation. If he used the Yin-Yang Calamity Pool, he would be able to make another breakthrough in a short period of time. Let's move the Yin-Yang Calamity Pool to the outside world. Zhuowen summoned Xiaohe and asked Xiaohe to cut out the entire bronze chamber and move it into the outside world. Xiaohe's current strength was not inferior to his at all. In fact, she was even stronger. Therefore, although the bronze chamber was sturdy, it was a piece of cake for Xiaohe. After putting away the Yin-Yang Calamity Pool, Yun walked out of the small thatched cottage. He found that Duan Jipeng and the other two were still working hard to break the restrictions on the remaining medicinal fields. He knew that it would take some time for Duan Jipeng and the other two to divide up all the medicinal fields here. Zhuowen did not disturb the three of them. Instead, he silently entered the outside world. He could use this time to enter the Yin-Yang Calamity Pool to cultivate, hoping to make another breakthrough. Boom, boom. When Zhuowen entered the outside world, he immediately discovered that there was an extremely powerful energy fluctuation not far from the center of the outside world. Zhuowen's gaze fell on the island in the center. He saw two figures fighting fiercely on the lake around the island. What made Zhuowen feel even more strange was that the two figures fighting were a purple-black gold divine sword and a 1-year-old infant. Especially the 1-year-old infant. His entire body was chubby, and on the surface of his crystal-clear skin, mysterious and powerful characters lit up. He gently waved his little fist, and the entire lake surged with waves that were tens of thousands of feet high. The purplish-black gold divine sword slashed out horizontally, slicing the terrifying wave in half. Then, the divine sword swept through the air, and a beam of sword energy shot out like lightning, fiercely standing between the baby's eyebrows. Watch out! Zhuowen's expression changed drastically. He immediately rushed over, but the sword chi was too fast. It had already landed between the infant's eyebrows. Bang! The infant was like a ball that had been kicked. He flew out and landed on the island. After rolling a dozen times on the ground, he barely managed to stop himself. Zhuowen landed beside the infant and picked him up. Only then did he discover that apart from a small red mark between the infant's eyebrows, he was completely unscathed. However, at this moment, the infant pouted his little mouth, and his large eyes were red. He actually began to bawl loudly. So painful! Uncle Black, you're so mean. You hurt me. The infant's arms and legs flailed about, and his cries became louder and louder. The purple-black gold divine sword flew over and hovered near the infant. Xiaohe appeared on the hilt of the sword. He rubbed his little paws and said with a guilty conscience, "Punin, Uncle, I didn't hold back and forgot to control my strength. I apologize to you. Don't cry." As he spoke, Xiaohe couldn't help but look at Zhuowen. His ears drooped, and he giggled foolishly. "All right, don't cry. You're not injured, are you?" Zhuowen shook his head in exasperation. Zhuowen had initially thought that the infant would cry even louder. After all, his consolation skills were very poor. However, to his surprise, the infant stopped crying. Instead, he pounced into Zhuowen's arms and said with a wide grin, My master has finally come to see me. This little guy is very smart. He learned how to speak in just a few days. He's been talking about you all this time. Furthermore, his physical body is extremely powerful. Even though I controlled my strength, it was still very powerful. He was still able to withstand it. This little guy has a bright future ahead of him. Xiaohe transmitted his voice to Zhuowen. Chapter 41:31. Sherpatian blinked his big eyes and said crisply, "My master is my master. Anyway, since I was born, there was a voice in my head telling me that you are my master." Zhuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but he also knew that because Sherpatian was born from his world, he had recognized him as his master. Next, Yuan asked Sherpatian about his own origin, such as what the mysterious characters on his body were, and why he was born from a stone. However, to Zhuowen's disappointment, Sherpatian was also ignorant. He only knew that the mysterious characters on his body seemed to be a set of cultivation methods. At present, he couldn't completely understand the meaning of the mysterious characters, and could only understand one or two characters. It was just words. However, Sherpatian also said that it seemed that as he grew older, he would naturally recognize more words. Zhuan knew that the secrets on Sherpatian's body might only be revealed after he grew up. Moreover, Zhuan actually hoped that more intelligent creatures like Sherpatian could be born in his macro world. This was because he could feel that the reproduction of intelligent creatures would give birth to civilization, and the development of civilization might cause earth-shaking changes in his macro world. As for what kind of changes would occur, perhaps the future would tell. After comforting Sherpatian, Yuan went to the place where the Yin-Yang Calamity Pond was located. Sherpatian was well behaved. He knew that Zhuan had important things to do, so he didn't pester Zhuan. "I hope this Yin-Yang Calamity Pond can bring me a different surprise." Zhuan stood in the bronze secret chamber, silently staring at the black and white pool in front of him. He took off his clothes and jumped into the pool. Crackle! The moment Yuan was immersed in the pool, the whole pool resounded with firecracker-like muffled sounds. Waves of strange energy, like maggots, flowed into the depths of Zhuowen's body through the acupoints on his body. Zhuowen groaned. He felt extreme pain the moment the energy of the Yin-Yang Universe Calamity Pool surged into his body. It was as if he was being gnawed on by tens of thousands of ants. It was indescribable. However, the benefits were also very obvious. While he was in extreme pain, Yuan could clearly feel that the energy in the pool was constantly nourishing his body, meridians, and limbs. His cultivation, under the nourishment of the pool's energy, began to skyrocket at a speed visible to the naked eye. Time passed day by day, and Zhuowen's aura, who was immersed in the pool, was also strengthening day by day. Finally, on the 5th day, Zhuowen's aura reached its peak. Then, a thunderous explosion resounded in his body, and his aura reached a whole new level. The effect of the Yin-Yang Calamity Pond is really amazing. It's only been 5 days, and I've successfully broken through to the late ancient star transformation stage. Zhuowen's eyes were filled with surprise. As he cultivated the primordial technique, although he had obtained strength that was far greater than his peers, the difficulty of cultivating it was also far greater than that of ordinary cultivators. With the help of the Yin-Yang Calamity Pond, he had only used 5 days to break through to the next stage. This showed how powerful the pool's effect was. The energy in the pool is still quite sufficient. It should be able to help me cultivate to the peak of the ancient star transformation stage. Zhuan found that although the energy in the pool was slightly thinner than before, it was still very sufficient. He planned to continue cultivating, hoping to break through again. Time gradually passed, and Zhuowen's speed of absorbing the pool's energy became faster and faster. The movements of his cultivation also became bigger and bigger. Following that, the energy in the Yin-Yang Calamity Pond became thinner and thinner. The black and white pool water began to faintly turn transparent. This kind of cultivation continued for half a month. Finally, the energy in the pool water was completely absorbed by Zhuan. Zhuan slowly opened his eyes and looked at the pool water that had already become transparent. The corners of his mouth revealed a trace of a bitter smile. The energy in the Yin-Yang Calamity Pond was finally absorbed by me, but I haven't been able to successfully break through to the peak of the ancient star transformation stage. Zhuan shook his head helplessly, but he was not discouraged. This was because he could feel that he was not far from the peak of the ancient star transformation stage. If he could still absorb enough energy, he would be able to smoothly break through immediately. Moreover, his strength had increased by a large margin since he had just broken through to the late ancient star transformation stage. With his current strength, it would be no problem for him to fight against an expert in the middle or late stages of the Yin-Yang Calamity Pond with his bare hands. If he used his trump card, his strength would be even stronger. Even those at the peak of the Yin-Yang Calamity Pond might not be his match. After Zhuowen left the bronze secret chamber, he found that in the center of the island not far away, Xiaohei was teaching Sherpatian how to cultivate with her legs crossed. Although Sherpatian was young, he was extremely serious when cultivating. His posture was methodical and he looked somewhat cute. Xiaohei noticed that Zhuowen had come out of seclusion. Just as she was about to greet him, she was stopped by Zhuowen, who shook his head. Zhuowen watched in silence for a while, then left the great world. At the same time, Duan Jipeng and Lin Long had finally finished distributing the medicinal fields in the divine herb garden. Brother Zhua, thank you so much this time. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have such a great harvest. As soon as Duan Jipeng and the other two came in front of Zhuowen, they surrounded Zhuowen with great enthusiasm. In particular, Duan Jipeng was so excited that she held Zhuowen's hand and couldn't help herself. Lin Long and his wife were also grinning excitedly. They looked at Zhuowen with eyes full of gratitude. These 6 eternal-level divine herbs were put together by the 3 of us and planned to give to you. After all, your medicinal field is too small and the number of divine herbs is too small. Instead, we divided such a large medicinal field equally. Duan Jipeng handed over 6 divine herbs to Zhuowen with a trace of embarrassment in her eyes. Obviously, they still felt a little guilty about dividing up most of the medicinal field. Zhuowen was slightly stunned as he gazed at the 6 divine herbs before him. After that, he smiled as he accepted them and said, "This is my choice. Moreover, the field I chose contains the inheritance of the master of the divine medicinal garden. Speaking of which, it's beneficial to me. Speaking of which, it's more valuable than divine herbs." Brother Zhua, you're also an alchemist? Duan Jipeng looked at Zhuowen in surprise. My alchemy skills are not as good as my array skills. I'm only at heaven-breaking level 9. I'm ashamed. Zhuowen scratched his head and said embarrassedly. Duan Jipeng and Lin Long looked at each other, speechless. This was really infuriating. Zhuowen's identity as a divine array master at first firmament eternal level was enough to stun them. Now, this guy was also a heaven-breaking level 9 alchemist. This was simply a monster. Chapter 4132. You should have already searched this area. Now, let's go find that expert's grave. Zhuowen said with a smile. Brother Zhua, do you know where the grave is? Duan Jipeng asked doubtfully. Zhuowen said with a smile. After receiving the inheritance of the divine herb garden's owner, I also obtained the map of this place, so I know the exact location of the grave. Duan Jipeng and Lin Long were pleasantly surprised. Originally, when they entered the universe world, they were like blind men searching for an elephant. They had no idea where the real grave was. Now, Zhuowen had found the specific route map. To them, it was simply a pleasant surprise. After packing up for a while, they left the blood forest. At the periphery of the blood forest, many cultivators who had gathered there had already dispersed. Obviously, after knowing that they couldn't get the divine herbs in the blood forest, they gave up and went to explore other places in this world. After Zhuowen and the others left the blood forest, they headed north. In Bai Tiangong's memory, Zhuowen knew that Lu Yanhua's grave was hidden in a place called the Purple Flame Divine Mountain. Moreover, the Purple Flame Divine Mountain was surrounded by all kinds of extremely powerful restrictions, which were basically peak first heaven eternal grade arrays. Ordinary experts of the universe tribulation would find it difficult to enter. Bai Tiangong had participated in the arrangement of the Purple Flame Divine Mountain's array, so he knew the shortcut to enter the Purple Flame Divine Mountain without destroying the array. 2 days later, Zhuowen and the others finally arrived at the mountain range where the Purple Flame Divine Mountain was located. This was a vast mountain range that stretched endlessly. In the center of the mountain range, a divine mountain burning with purple divine flames stood quietly in the mountain range. This was the Purple Flame Divine Mountain. The purple flame divine mountain burned with purple flames that seemed to never be extinguished. The scorching heat hit their faces. Even though Zhuowen and the others were tens of thousands of feet away, they could clearly feel the terrifying heat, which made them feel anxious and uncomfortable. Brother Zhuo, look, there seems to be a lot of people gathered outside the purple flame divine mountain. Duan Jipeng suddenly pointed to the front and said in an unnatural voice. Zhuan looked over. Indeed, there were many groups gathered outside the purple flame divine mountain. However, those teams were all stationed outside the purple flame's sacred mountain. None of them attempted to enter the purple flame's sacred mountain. It seems that the exact location of this tomb isn't a secret after all. Lin Long and his wife smiled bitterly. Zhuan didn't say anything. Instead, he led the three of them to the periphery of the purple flame divine mountain. The group of cultivators gathered at the periphery of the purple flame divine mountain was clearly divided into three camps. One of the camps was led by the green-robed old man, and was formed by the experts of the older generation who had undergone the great calamity of universe. The second group was led by Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua of the Sorcerer God clan. There were also many powerful rogue cultivators gathered in Mo Fengyu's group. The third group surprised Zhuowen. It was the group led by Su Zhou and Ziyu. This group was basically made up of the geniuses on the Outer Realm celestial ranking that had entered this place. The rest were mostly unimportant rogue cultivators who didn't belong to any camp. Of course, these rogue cultivators were also quite self-aware. They didn't intend to compete with the three camps for the truly good things in the tomb. They only wanted to follow behind them and pick up the scraps. When Zhuowen's group arrived, Zhuowen immediately felt a gaze full of malice. He turned his head and saw Lai Rong and the black-robed old man behind Su Zhou and Ziyu's group, staring at him with hatred. Then, Lai Rong came to Su Zhou and Ziyu's side and whispered something. The two of them glanced at Zhuowen and then slowly descended in front of Zhuowen with Lai Rong. Ziyu's purple hair fluttered in the wind. Her mysterious purple eyes were filled with domineering and indisputable light. Brother, my name is Ziyu. I'm ranked 5th on the Outer Realm celestial rankings. I'm from the Xiling region. I think you and Brother Lai Rong have some misunderstanding. How about this? I'll give you a chance to join our camp. You have to apologize to Brother Lai Rong. And return all his things. How about it? Ziyu faintly looked at Zhuowen. There was a trace of arrogance in her expression. Kid, hand over my things. And obediently kneel down and apologize to me. Otherwise, you won't have a good ending. Lai Rong's eyes were full of arrogance as he spoke coldly. Zhuowen looked indifferently at Lai Rong and then at Ziyu. He said playfully, I want to ask, who do you think you are? You dare to ask me to hand over my things and apologize to this trash? Is the Outer Realm celestial rankings that great? Ziyu's expression immediately turned cold. The youth in front of her didn't have much cultivation, but his personality was very arrogant. This made her extremely unhappy. Just as Ziyu was about to speak, Lai Rong, who was standing beside her, couldn't help it. He said in exasperation, Trash? You have the right to call me trash? If you didn't trick me and use the array to self-destruct to seriously injure me, do you think you would be my opponent with your little cultivation? If we fought face to face, I could destroy you in one move. Zhuowen looked at Lai Rong with a faint smile. Seeing that you're so confident, I'll give you a chance to challenge me. I won't use array techniques. If you can take one move from me, then I can even give you my life. Duan Jipeng and Lin Long were shocked. They hurriedly signaled Zhuowen with their eyes. They knew that Zhuowen wasn't weak, but that was with his array techniques. Now, Zhuowen actually didn't use array techniques to fight Lai Rong one-on-one. Wasn't this using one's weakness to attack the other's strength? After all, Lai Rong was a genius ranked 72nd on the Outer Realm celestial rankings. His strength was much stronger than Guxing's peak cultivators. How could Zhuowen defeat the former in one move? Ziyu also looked at Zhuowen strangely. She secretly shook her head. She felt that Zhuowen was too arrogant. Good. You said it yourself. Take one move from you? I think I should be the one to destroy you. Lai Rong was so angry that he laughed. Brother Duan, get out of the way first. It's only a matter of one move to deal with him. It'll be quick. Jun looked at the worried Duan Jipeng and the other two. Duan Jipeng and the other two sighed. They also knew that it was useless to persuade them now. They could only obediently step aside. Z was also quite self-aware. She also stepped back to give Zhuan and Lai Rong some space to fight. Zhuan and Lai Rong's movements also attracted the attention of the other two camps. That's Lai Rong of the Niwa clan. It looks like he wants to fight one-on-one? Who's the other youth? Mo Fengyo's gaze fell on Zhuan. He was rather surprised. Mo Liuhua shook his head. Lu Yingying, who was standing beside him, had a strange look in her eyes. She had seen Zhuan before and naturally recognized Zhuan at a glance. Chapter 41-33. Lu Yingying said scornfully, I know this person. He is the young man who escorted my niece's group. I remember his name is Shun. Is he the arrogant brat who claimed to have defeated the guardian of the Goldwater domain, Saiko Hongfei? Mo Liuhua suddenly asked. He originally did not care about Zhuan at all. The reason why he had some impression of Zhuan was that Lu Yingying had mentioned to him that Zhuan claimed to have defeated Saiko Hongfei, an expert of the great calamity of Qiankuan. At that time, Zhuan's cultivation was still very low. He was only in the middle stage of the ancient star transformation. Lai Rong is a genius on the Outer Realm Heavenly List. He is extremely powerful and has killed an expert of the half-step Great Carefree Realm. He even chased after an expert of the early stage of the Great Calamity of Qiankuan. However, he failed in the end and escaped. Does this brat really think that he can look down on a genius like Lai Rong just because his cultivation has reached the late stage of the ancient star transformation? How stupid! Mo Liuhua shook his head as a mocking smile appeared on his face. He is just an arrogant brat. Husband, why do you care? Lu Yingying said with a smile. Lu Yingying originally had a glimmer of hope for Zhun. However, she was extremely disappointed by Zhuowen's performance. It seemed that not allowing Zhuowen to follow Shan Lingyun into the Sorcerer God City was indeed the right choice. You are Zhuowen, right? Soon, you will pay the price for your arrogance. If you don't use the Array Dao, you are just a piece of trash. What do you have to compete with me? Lai Rong's eyes revealed a ferocious look as he summoned his natal Lone Star. His natal Lone Star was many times larger than an ordinary ancient star transformation cultivator. It emitted a white glow. Upon closer inspection, the surface of the natal Lone Star was shrouded in endless ice and snow. The moment Lai Rong summoned his natal Lone Star, Yun could clearly feel that the surrounding temperature was rapidly dropping as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Lai Rong's face was expressionless. He formed a seal with both hands and blasted out into the void. The white natal star suspended in the void behind him cut through the void and blasted fiercely toward Yun. At the same time, Lai Rong took out his life-bound god artifact, a divine spear engraved with icy blue dragons. He strode through the air and followed closely behind his life-bound star, launching a terrifying attack at Zhuowen like a thunderbolt. Brother Zhuo, be careful. This Lai Rong's strength is not simple. He is much stronger than ordinary ancient star peak cultivators. Duan Jipeng and Lin Long hurriedly reminded Zhuowen. If it wasn't for Zhuowen glaring at the three of them, they might have already rushed up to block Lai Rong's terrifying attack for Zhuowen. Zhuowen silently hovered in midair. His body moved without any wind, and his shoulder-length black hair fluttered in the wind. In the blink of an eye, Lai Rong stepped on his life star and arrived near Zhun. His aura was like a rainbow and his killing intent was like a dragon. Heavenly Ice God's net. Lai Rong raised his divine spear and swung it down fiercely. Terrifying divine power gathered at the tip of the divine spear like a tide. Then, it smashed fiercely toward Zhuowen's head. The icy blue natal Lone Star was charging straight at Zhuowen from the front with an unparalleled momentum, as if it was going to crush Zhuowen's entire body into powder. Zhuowen slowly raised his head. He grinned at Lai Rong and said softly, "Only have this little trick? You're really too weak." Zhuowen's voice was not loud, but it spread across the sky like thunder. Almost everyone present heard it clearly. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Zhuan slowly took a step forward. Then, a terrifying aura quickly rushed out of Zhuowen's body and rushed into the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Then, the earth cracked and huge stars quickly floated out from the depths of the earth. There were hundreds of stars, revolving around Zhuowen in an irregular trajectory. And Lai Rong's life star, just as it arrived not far from Zhuowen, it was immediately blocked by several stars and bounced away. And the moment this life star bounced away, even more stars shot out like hidden weapons and smashed onto Lai Rong's life star, smashing it and sending it flying in all directions. At the same time, even more stars brutally blasted towards Lai Rong. Lai Rong was caught off guard and was hit by several stars. He grunted and retreated repeatedly, his face becoming rather pale. How can you have so many life stars? Lai Rong was completely shocked. He had never seen a cultivator with such a terrifying amount of life-bound lone stars. Even that freak who was ranked first on the Outer Realm Heavenly list didn't have as many life-bound lone stars as Zhuowen when he entered the Ancient Star transformation. I haven't even made a move and you're already in such a sorry state. Looks like I overestimated you. You're even more useless than I thought. Zhuan shook his head, his interest waning. He raised his right hand into the air and then slowly lowered it. At this moment, the surrounding stars seemed to have stopped in time, all of them coming to a standstill. Of course, this kind of standstill was only for an instant. Then, the stars rushed out one after another, smashing towards Lai Rong who was not far away. No, Lai Rong looked at the stars that filled the sky rushing towards him, his face completely turned ghastly pale, and the depths of his eyes were filled with deep fear. Boom, boom, boom. Earth-shaking collisions continuously resounded in the sky. Lai Rong's body was truly too small compared to the numerous stars. Even Lai Rong's life star had already been torn apart by the terrifying collisions of the numerous stars, and Lai Rong's figure was completely drowned out, unable to be seen at all. Young master! The expression of the black-robed old man from the Nuwa clan completely changed. He charged into the core surrounded by countless stars without any regard for his own safety. The black-robed old man was worthy of being a supreme expert of the universe calamity. Although he had been injured by Duan Jipeng earlier, his strength was still not to be underestimated. Zhuowen's life star could not stop him at all, and it was blasted away one by one. When the black-robed old man blasted away the surrounding stars, he finally saw Lai Rong who was trapped in the core. At this moment, Lai Rong's entire body was dripping with blood. His body was on the verge of collapse, and his aura was almost non-existent. He was on the verge of death. Zhuan waved his sleeve, and the hundreds of stars returned to his body. They rapidly rotated in irregular trajectories, making him look like a god that had descended to the mortal world. The periphery of the purple flame divine mountain was completely silent. Lai Rong, who was ranked 72nd on the Outer World Heaven ranking, was an extremely famous genius among the younger generation of the entire 100 domains. Now, Lai Rong was fighting a young man whose cultivation was even lower than his. Not only did he not win, he was even beaten to the brink of death by a single move. This was too terrifying. Chapter 41-34. Lai Rong was actually defeated in one move. This person has some strength. Ziyu's purple eyes stared intently at Zhuowen. She muttered to herself in her heart. Interesting. This youth's cultivation is not high, but his strength is so strong. His background is probably not small. Su Zhou slowly landed beside Ziyu. Because he was wearing a silver mask, it was impossible to see his expression. However, his tone was a bit more approving. He's too arrogant. Although his strength is not bad, there is still a gap between him and the geniuses in the top 10 of the Outer Realm leaderboard. Even I can't stand his level of arrogance. Ziyu said coldly. Su Zhou did not answer Ziyu's question. Instead, he smiled faintly. If possible, we can pull this person into our camp. He defeated our camp's Lai Rong. If we pull him in, I'm afraid it's not appropriate? Ziyu frowned. Our team doesn't need losers. Since Lai Rong failed, then he has no value. Our team doesn't need trash like him. Su Zhou said indifferently. Ziyu's heart trembled, but she did not refute. She understood the personality of this old opponent in front of her quite well. In the Wushan clan's team, Lu Yingying covered her cherry lips with her hand. Her beautiful eyes looked at this scene in disbelief. In her opinion, Lai Rong, a genius on the Outer Realm leaderboard, should be able to easily defeat Zhuowen in a battle with Zhuowen. But now, unexpectedly, the one who was taken care of was Lai Rong. Moreover, he was taken care of in one move. This was a little too scary, wasn't it? Soon, Lu Yingying remembered that Shan Lingyun had mentioned to her that Zhuowen had defeated Saiku Hongfei. She did not care about it at all and only thought that Shan Lingyun had been deceived by Zhuowen. But now, after seeing Zhuowen's strength, she was somewhat moved by Shan Lingyun's words. Could it be that Zhuowen had really defeated a great tribulation expert like Saiku Hongfei? He actually won? Mo Liuhua frowned slightly and muttered to himself in surprise. This child is not simple. His life lone star is too strange. He actually has so many life lone stars. Within the same level, I'm afraid there are few who are his opponents. Mo Fengyu said rather solemnly. Then, Mo Fengyu's sharp gaze fell on Lu Yingying. He said lightly, Yingying, I heard that this child is your niece's friend. If he has such strength, we can try to win him over. Lu Yingying was stunned. She originally wanted to refuse. After all, she had mocked Zhuowen. Zhuowen Fengyu. However, after sensing Mo Fengyu's unquestionable gaze, her expression changed. She had no choice but to nod and agree. Little bastard, you're so ruthless. You actually crippled the young master. The black-robed old man roared furiously. He leaped out and transformed into a sharp ray of light that shot towards Zhuowen. A terrifying aura surged out, causing the surrounding space to distort in large areas. Everyone's expression changed when they sensed the terrifying aura from the black-robed elder. A peak Great Tribulation expert. I didn't expect the Niwa clan to value Lai Rong so much. They actually sent such an expert to protect Lai Rong. That young man is in trouble. The crowd was in an uproar as their gazes fell upon Zhuowen. Their eyes were filled with pity. You must accept your loss. Old man, don't go too far. At the same time, Duan Jipeng, who had been watching the battle, saw the black-robed elder make a move. He snorted coldly and stood in front of Zhuowen. The black-robed elder and Duan Jipeng fiercely collided. Two enormous universe world phantoms floated in the sky, and endless tribulation energy wreaked havoc and exploded. Everything within tens of thousands of miles fell into a terrifying state of collapse. The ground in this area had turned into an abyss, and the thick clouds in the sky had dispersed. Then, everyone was shocked to discover that the black-robed elder, who had an imposing aura, had been forced back in a rather sorry state. Duan Jipeng, on the other hand, had only taken a few steps back. His back was straight as he floated in the air. His sharp gaze was cold as he stared at the black-robed elder who was in a rather sorry state. At this moment, everyone was shocked. The attack of the black-robed old man at the peak of the great calamity of heaven and earth had been blocked. Another peak Great Tribulation expert. Where did this young man come from? He actually has such an expert as a teammate. After sensing Duan Jipeng's terrifying aura, everyone's expressions became extremely solemn. Zhuowen had almost killed Lai Rong with a single move, and Duan Jipeng had repelled the black-robed elder with a single move. There were also the Lin Long couple with strong auras. Although Zhuowen's team did not have the advantage in numbers, their strength could not be underestimated. What? Do you still want to come? You're just a defeated opponent. Duan Jipeng stared at the black-robed elder. A trace of deep killing intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. He had a life-and-death feud with the Niwa clan. He had long wanted to kill this group of Niwa clan bastards. However, there were too many people here. He obviously could not completely use his full strength to deal with any future troubles. The black-robed elder also felt the killing intent in Duan Jipeng's eyes. His heart trembled. Although he felt that it was strange, he fell into a rare silence and did not dare to clamor anymore. The two of you, let's talk things over. It's not worth it to fight before we even enter the tomb. The two of you should give me, Ziyu, face and temporarily put aside your grudges. After we enter the tomb together, no one will care how you fight. Ziyu walked forward with a smile. She was smiling insincerely and acted as a peacemaker. Nephew Ziyu is right. The two of you should calm down. Now is the time for us to work together to break this purple flame divine mountain. All the fighting now is meaningless. At the same time, the Wushan clan's camp and the green-robed elders' camp came forward and tried to persuade them. When Duan Jipeng saw that the people from the three camps had come, he restrained the killing intent in his eyes. He said lightly, "The Niwa clan is really shameless. You want to bully the weak. If there's a next time, I won't be merciful just because you're from the Niwa clan." The black-robed elder was full of anger. He looked at Duan Jipeng and Juan with resentment but did not say anything. Instead, he brought the seriously injured Lai Rong to a corner not far away and began to take out magical pills to treat Lai Rong's injuries. "I haven't asked for your distinguished name yet. Which region are you from?" Ziyu smiled and looked at Duan Jipeng. "I'm Duan Hua. I'm just a nameless rogue cultivator. Not worth mentioning," Duan Jipeng said lightly. He was still wanted by the Niwa clan, so he always used a fake name to outsiders. "So it's Brother Duan. I think Brother Duan should be the leader of this team. Our camp wants to invite you to cooperate with us. I don't need to say our camp's strength. You can see it." Ziyu smiled. Duan Jipeng shook his head. "The leader this time is not me, but my brother Zhua. Our team's important matters are all decided by him." Chapter 41-35. "So it's Brother Zhua, little Brother Zhua. I'm Suzhou. I'm very interested in you. I hope you can join our camp." Just as Ziyu was feeling awkward, the silver-masked Suzhou slowly walked over and spoke in a gentle voice. Ziyu was quite tactful and retreated behind Suzhou. Zhuan looked indifferently at Suzhou. Just as he was about to speak, the people from the other two camps also came over. "Little Brother Zhua, your team is also made up of individual cultivators. It's right for you to join our camp. After all, whether it's Suzhou or the Wushan clan's team, they aren't very friendly to individual cultivators. As individual cultivators, we should support each other." The green-robed elder's lips moved slightly as he invited them rather enthusiastically. "Brother Gu, you're wrong. This little brother has a deep relationship with our Wushan clan. He might not be fated with you." Mo Fengyu smiled faintly, his face full of confidence. Under Mo Liuhua's meaningful glance, Lu Yingying braced herself and walked over. She forced a smile at Zhuowen and said, "You should still remember me, right? I'm Ling Yun's aunt, Lu Yingying." Zhuowen glanced at Lu Yingying indifferently and said indifferently, "Senior Lu must be joking. We've only just met, so this Zhuowen naturally remembers Senior." Seeing that Zhuowen didn't ignore her, Lu Yingying heaved a sigh of relief. She said rather enthusiastically, "Tian, I know that you're Ling Yun's disciple. Speaking of which, you and I have a deep relationship. You and your team's strength is indeed not bad. Our Wushan clan's team isn't weak either. I want to invite you to join our team. You won't refuse on account of Ling Yun, right?" The green-robed elder and Su Zhou frowned slightly. They didn't expect that Zhuan had such a relationship with Lu Yingying of the Wushan clan. Didn't that mean that they had no chance at all? Although Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua didn't say anything, they couldn't help but reveal a smug expression. In their opinion, Yuan would definitely agree to let Lu Yingying join their team. But Yuan shook his head and said, "Senior Lu, I'm really sorry. Our small team is enough. We don't wish to join any team. Thank you for your kindness." Lu Yingying's expression changed slightly, while Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua frowned. Their expressions became unsightly. "Little Brother Zhua, don't tell me you don't care about our old friendship? After all, Shan Lingyun and the others are still in our shaman god city." Mo Liuhua grunted coldly. Zhuan narrowed his eyes as a dangerous glint flashed across his eyes. "Clan leader Mo, are you threatening me?" Mo Liuhua smiled faintly and said, "I'm not threatening you. It's just that Shan Lingyun and the rest are living under someone else's roof after all. This kind of feeling is sometimes involuntary." Lu Yingying's expression changed slightly. She didn't expect Emoliohua to use Shan Lingyun as an excuse. However, she didn't dare to have any objections. Her heart was filled with sorrow. Clan leader Mo, I think you'd better act rationally. Otherwise, you'll bring trouble to your clan. When the time comes, it'll be too late for regrets. Zhuowen said indifferently. Emoliohua and Mo Fengyu looked coldly at Chun. What an arrogant brat. Was he threatening the entire Shaman God clan? Humph. Let's wait and see. When we enter the Purple Flame's sacred mountain, we'll see if little brother Zhuo can escape unscathed. After all, there are many experts this time. Who knows if you might die in there? Emoliohua sneered. Then there's no need for clan leader Mo to worry. Zhuowen said calmly. Let's go. Emoliohua knew that it was impossible for Zhuowen to join their camp. Therefore, he didn't ask for a rebuff and left with the Shaman God clan's team. Su Zhou and the green-robed old man also knew that Zhuowen had no intention of joining any camp. Therefore, they didn't invite Zhuowen and left resentfully. Brother Zhuo, isn't it too thoughtless to reject all 3 camps at once? Lin Long and his wife asked Zhuowen cautiously. They were trembling with fear. After all, there were too many experts in the 3 camps. Their team couldn't be compared to the 3 camps. Zhuowen smiled and said, We have the shortcut to enter the tomb. We'll definitely get the things in the tomb before they do. If we join their camp, we'll be discovered as soon as they leave the team. That'll be the most disadvantageous for us. Now that we're in a neutral state, we'll be the most inconspicuous. When the 3 camps join forces to break the restriction on the Purple Flame Divine Mountain, we'll be able to leave quietly and act alone. Duan Jipeng and Lin Long finally understood Zhuowen's plan. They couldn't help but give Zhuowen a thumbs up. Everyone, we're just wasting time. Why don't we do this? Let's join forces to break the restriction on the Purple Flame Divine Mountain first. Finally, Mo Fengyu of the Shaman God clan couldn't help but make a suggestion. The leaders of the other 2 camps smiled. They had been waiting for someone to make this suggestion. The restriction on the surface of the Purple Flame Divine Mountain is very powerful. Its power is almost at the 2nd sky of eternal grade. It's difficult for an ordinary divine array master of the 1st sky of eternal grade to break it, unless it's a 2nd sky of eternal grade heaven and earth array master or several eternal grade heaven and earth array masters. Only divine array masters of the 1st sky of eternal grade can break it. With so many experts joining forces to assist the divine array masters, there may be a high chance of breaking this formation. Su Zhou said calmly. We only have 1 divine array master of the 1st sky of eternal grade in our team. Mo Fengyu said helplessly. The green-robed elder shrugged. We have 2. Including you, there's a total of 4. After finding the formation I, we'll break the formation with the guidance of the divine array master. We should be able to break the terrifying restriction on the Purple Flame Divine Mountain in a short time. Su Zhou said faintly. The green-robed elder, Mo Fengyu, and the others looked at each other and sighed in their hearts. Su Zhou, Ziyu, and the others were indeed geniuses from powerful realms. They could bring 2 divine array masters of the 1st sky of eternal grade. Their foundation was extraordinarily strong. After the 3 camps reached an agreement, they each sent divine array masters to join forces to find the formation I. About a quarter of an hour later, the 4 divine array masters found the formation I of the Purple Flame Divine Mountain. The formation I of the Purple Flame Divine Mountain was located on the peak of the Divine Mountain. There, a bead burning with purple flames was suspended. The source of the purple flames in the entire Divine Mountain came from this bead. Everyone, whether we can break the restriction on the Purple Flame Divine Mountain and enter the tomb to fight for the treasures depends on whether we can destroy this formation I. Everyone, let's put down our grudges and do our best. Chapter 41-36. After the Wushan clan team attacked, the green-robed elder, Su Zhou, and Ziyu's teams were not willing to fall behind. They all launched their own attacks. All kinds of dazzling lights spilled out in all directions. The Purple Flame Divine Mountain exploded with dazzling light. It was very dazzling and eye-piercing. The moment the three teams attacked, many independent cultivators who did not belong to the three teams were also encouraged to attack. They all joined in the attack on the formation core. Immediately, with the purple flame divine mountain as the center, the entire ground shook violently. Extremely ear-piercing and terrifying explosions erupted. On the summit of the purple flame divine mountain, there was an explosion of multicolored energy. The purple pearl hanging high on the summit trembled slightly and then exploded with extremely terrifying energy. The purple flames that seemed like they would never be extinguished all over the divine mountain were all mobilized at this moment. They suddenly rose and condensed on the summit. They began to recklessly collide with all kinds of terrifying energy coming from the outside. What shocked everyone was that the combined attack of so many cultivators was actually blocked by the blazing purple flames. Everyone, I've said it before. Don't hold back. If you hold back now, we won't even be able to break into the purple flame divine mountain. Then what's the point of holding back your strength? It won't be of any use at all. Mo Fengyu roared in exasperation. He took the lead and summoned his Qianquan world, erupting with even more terrifying power. Encouraged by Mo Feiyu, Ziyu, Su Zhou, and the green-robed elder no longer held back. They all used their full strength. Boom, boom. Even more terrifying attacks came one after another. They were like waves, each wave higher than the last. What made everyone excited was that the purple flames on the divine mountain were faintly suppressed by them. They also believed that with the passage of time, they would eventually break through the formation core of the divine mountain and then charge into the divine mountain. However, what no one noticed was that there were 4 people who quietly withdrew from the besieging team and quietly circled to the back of the purple flame divine mountain. These 4 people were Jun, Duan Jipeng, and the other 2. Brother Zhua, is this shortcut of yours reliable? Duan Jipeng asked worriedly. It should be reliable. After all, Bai Tiangong was one of the most important people under this expert. His memory shouldn't have any problems. Zhuan glanced at the sacred mountain behind him and continued, moreover, as you can see, the number of experts in the 3 factions is much greater than ours. We are at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. If he were to compete with them head-on, he would have no chance at all. If you have an advantage, you might miss out on a great opportunity. With this shortcut, we can enter the tomb earlier. This is a great opportunity for us. Although Duan Jipeng and Lin Long were still worried, they were more excited. This was the tomb of a cosmic Dharma adept. If they could really plunder the treasures in advance, they would really be rich. Keep a lookout. If you see any adepts coming, kill them immediately. I will look for the entrance to the shortcut first. After Zhuan finished speaking, he approached a crack on the back of the divine mountain. According to Bai Tiangong's memory, the entrance to the shortcut should be near this crack. Duan Jipeng, Lin Long, and Lin Long nodded repeatedly. Then, they looked around vigilantly and used their consciousness to carefully scan the surroundings. Fortunately, the back of the purple flame divine mountain was very remote. Most of the people gathered here were at the front of the divine mountain. In addition, when Zhuan entered the back of the mountain, he had secretly set up a large shielding array around the area. Therefore, the people who broke through the front would not be able to detect them with their consciousness. Duan Jipeng and the other 2 were keeping a lookout mainly to prevent people from suddenly coming to the back of the divine mountain and seeing them, thus exposing their whereabouts. The depths of the crack were dark and deep, and the terrain was very complicated. The entrance to the so-called shortcut was in the deepest part of the crack. Zhuan walked in a strange pace as he slowly approached the depths of the crack. There were all kinds of traps in this crack. If he didn't follow the special steps, he might trigger a trap. At that time, things would become extremely troublesome. Thankfully, Zhuan had obtained Bai Tiangong's memories and knew how to walk through the crack. Otherwise, even if he knew that there was a shortcut here, he would probably trigger a trap because of his wrong step and be trapped inside. Not long after, Yun arrived at the end of the crack. What appeared in front of Zhuan was a small space surrounded by 3 giant rocks. The strange thing was that these 3 giant rocks were emitting a faint blue light. Although the light was weak, it was much brighter than the completely dark crack passage. In the faint blue light, a bronze key with patterns all over its body floated. At the same time, Yuan also noticed that in the center of the giant rock at the front, there was a black keyhole. The shape of the keyhole was exactly the same as the bronze key. Yuan pondered for a moment, then took off the bronze key and inserted it into the keyhole. Kakaka. Yuan gently turned the key, and the giant rock in front of him emitted a strange muffled sound. Then, the giant rock disappeared in front of Yuan's eyes, revealing a black staircase behind it. From the upward trend of the stairs, it could be seen that the stairs were going up. Phew, I've finally found it. Yuan revealed a relaxed smile on his face, then returned the way he came and gathered Duan Jipeng and the other two. Yuan brought the three of them with a special pace. After passing through the crack passage, they once again arrived in front of the stairs. This staircase should be the shortcut to enter the Purple Flame Divine Mountain. Yuan looked around at the three of them. After receiving their affirmative answers, he led the three of them onto the stairs. Not long after Yuan's group of four entered the shortcut, Su Zhou, who was originally attacking the eye of the formation together, noticed that Yuan's group of four was not present. After all, Yuan's group of four was not weak. Moreover, there was Duan Jipeng, who was at the peak of the cosmic tribulation. This was worthy of everyone's attention. Su Zhou wasn't the only one who noticed. Even Mo Faiyu, Mo Liuhua, and the green-robed elder of the Sorcerer God clan noticed. What about Yuan and Duan Jipeng's group? They didn't participate in the attack on the eye of the formation, did they? I didn't see them take action. Mo Faiyu frowned slightly as he looked at the people of the other two factions. Yes, they didn't take action at all. And now, the four of them are not present at the scene. Did anyone notice where they went? Su Zhou asked in a somewhat cold tone. I noticed that the four of them seem to have gone to the back of the Divine Mountain. As for why they went there, we don't know. Suddenly, a wandering cultivator spoke, pointing to the back of the Purple Flame Divine Mountain and speaking rather cautiously. Chapter 41-37. Seeing Su Zhou suddenly rush towards the back of the mountain, the leaders of the other two camps looked at each other. After instructing the others to continue attacking the eye of the formation, Mo Faiyu, the green-robed elder, Ziyu, and the others followed. When they arrived at the back of the mountain, they found that Su Zhou had stopped in front of a crack. His face was green and white. Su Zhou, there's no one here. It seems that Yuan and the others have already left. The green-robed elder came to Su Zhou's side and asked doubtfully. No. Yuan and the others may have already entered this crack. There may be a path to the depths of Purple Flame Divine Mountain in this crack. Ziyu said with a gloomy face. What? How do you know that this crack is the path to the depths of Purple Flame Divine Mountain? Mo Faiyu turned pale with fright and asked calmly. Have you forgotten? Ziyu and I were the first to discover that the tomb of that expert was hidden in Purple Flame Divine Mountain. Back then, we had already searched everywhere in the vicinity of Purple Flame Divine Mountain. And we've already entered this crack. Su Zhou clenched his fists and said somewhat angrily. You've already entered? Then why are you still here to help us break the formation? Shouldn't you have already entered? The green-robed elder snorted coldly. He was clearly dissatisfied that Ziyu and Su Zhou were hiding something from them. If this place was easy to enter, we would have already entered. There were all kinds of extremely terrifying traps hidden in this passage. Once the traps were triggered, they would attract an extremely terrifying attack. Su Zhou and I joined forces to enter. But after a third of the way in, we couldn't take it anymore and retreated in a sorry state. If any of you are more confident, you can enter now. I won't stop you, Ziyu said coldly. Mo Faiyu and the others' expressions changed slightly. They hadn't expected that there would be another mystery in this crack. It's because this place is so strange that we suspect that this crack is likely another path to Purple Flame Divine Mountain. It's a shortcut used by that expert's loyal subordinates to enter and exit. Since there are traps here, then Yuan and the others naturally can't enter. I think you're overthinking it. The green-robed elder shook his head and laughed. Su Zhou grunted coldly and said, Didn't all of you notice that a grand formation has been set up outside the rift? It must have been set up by Yuan and the others. Their purpose was to prevent us from detecting them with our divine sense. They might have already entered the depths of the crevice. Mo Fengyu and the others were startled. If Su Zhou's guess was true, wouldn't that mean that Zhuowen's group would be the first to reach this tomb? I don't believe you. I'll go in and try. The green-robed old man was obviously not interested in Su Zhou's speculation. With a cold snort, he stepped into the crack. Not long after, an extremely terrifying aura and energy ripples came from the crack. Then, a miserable figure was forced to retreat. This sorry figure was the green-robed old man. Motherfucker, there really are a lot of traps here. The green-robed elder said with lingering fear. With the green-robed old man's personal experience, everyone believed Su Zhou's guess. This is just my guess. Regardless of whether Zhuowen's group has successfully entered the Divine Mountain or not, we need to hurry up and break through the crevice. Everyone, I know you still have trump cards. Right now, time is precious. Let's not waste any more time. Alright, show us all your trump cards. Su Zhou stood tall and said coldly to everyone. Then, he returned to the front of the Divine Mountain. Mo Fengyu, the green-robed old man, and the others looked at each other and nodded secretly as if they had reached some kind of agreement. They followed Su Zhou back to the front of the Divine Mountain. Zhuowen's group of 4, who had entered the Divine Mountain, naturally didn't know that their whereabouts had been discovered. At this moment, the 4 of them were running up the stairs. The stairs were endless, as if there was no end. They extended all the way to an extremely high point. Brother Zhua, according to our speed, we should have climbed much higher than the height of the Purple Flame Divine Mountain. Why haven't we reached the end of the stairs? Duan Jipeng asked doubtfully. There's a maze here. We've actually been going around in circles. While we were running, I was observing this maze. Now, I've found a way to break it. As Zhuowen spoke, he suddenly stopped. Then, his 10 fingers danced in the air like perfect fireworks. Complex runes surged out from his fingertips. Duan Jipeng and the other 2 stopped behind Zhuowen, silently waiting for Zhuowen to break the formation. Not long after, they discovered that the surrounding space had become distorted. Finally, with a cracking sound, it completely shattered. In the depths of the shattered space, a ray of purple light rushed in, accompanied by a scorching heat. Zhuowen and the other 3 involuntarily narrowed their eyes. When they completely opened their eyes, they saw that what appeared in front of them was no longer an endless flight of stairs. Instead, it was a grand and magnificent enormous palace. This palace stood on the peak of the mountain. It was luxurious and magnificent. Its entire body was forged from pure white jade, and its surface exuded a shockingly rich chaotic energy. Holy shit! The entire shrine is made of supreme-grade chaos gems. That's way too extravagant. Duan Jipeng's eyes widened as he looked at the huge palace in front of him in disbelief. The palace was simply too huge. The entire structure was built with supreme-grade chaos gems. The number of chaos gems needed to build it was probably extremely terrifying. Even if they cultivated desperately for so many years, they might not be able to obtain so many chaos gems. To obtain so many chaotic gems and build such a huge palace. This palace could be the expert's mausoleum. TSK, as expected of a cosmic dharma expert. This foundation is too deep. Lin Long and his wife were full of admiration. Their eyes were already filled with passion. Yun was the calmest of the 4. He immediately noticed the surrounding environment and realized that they were on the peak of the Purple Flame's sacred mountain. On the surface of the Purple Flame's sacred mountain, the purple divine flames that seemed to never be extinguished burned and raged in the surroundings. However, they deliberately kept a distance of a few hundred feet from the mausoleum. Zhuowen's group happened to be within this range. Hence, they were not affected by the purple divine flames. At the same time, Yun also noticed that there was a purple pearl at the peak of the palace. Chapter 4138. The sealing power of the Purple Flame's sacred mountain won't last much longer. Let's hurry into the mausoleum. We have to be quick. Take whatever we can, and don't waste time on those we can't. Zhuan shouted and led the way into the mausoleum. Duan Jipeng and the other two immediately snapped out of their stupor at Zhuowen's shout. They suppressed the excitement in their hearts and hurriedly followed. This was the mausoleum of a cosmic Dharma powerhouse. It contained the life savings of this powerhouse. There must be many good things inside. The mausoleum was very large and was divided into many side halls. These side halls were like a maze, surrounding the main hall in the center of the mausoleum. Not all of these side halls had treasures. Only about 10% of the side halls could store treasures. The other 90% of the side halls had all kinds of traps and restrictions. If one was not strong enough and fell into these side halls, they would easily die. The layout of the side halls was too complicated. Although Zhuowen had inherited Bai Tiangong's memories, he could not distinguish which side halls stored treasures and which side halls had traps. Bai Tiangong had only been to the mausoleum once. Back then, Lu Yanhua had not died and the mausoleum had just been built. After the mausoleum was built, it had become Lu Yanhua's private forbidden area. Even he had no right to enter the mausoleum without Lu Yanhua's orders. Therefore, Zhuowen currently only knew a path that led to the main hall. As for whether the side halls he passed by on the way had anything good, that was something he couldn't say for sure. After all, Bai Tiangong was not the craftsman who built the mausoleum. To know the route to the main hall was already a great fortune for Zhu. Zhuowen did not hide this from Duan Jipeng and the other two. After all, they were a team. Zhuowen could not possibly have the idea of taking everything for himself. The main hall must contain the most precious treasures of this mausoleum. We don't need to waste time in the side halls. Let's go straight to the main hall. Duan Jipeng said in a low voice. Brother Duan is right. It won't be too late to explore the side halls after we've finished looting the main hall. Lin Long and his wife nodded in agreement. After the four of them reached an agreement, Yun took the lead and rushed into the depths of the mausoleum. As he went deeper and deeper, Yun couldn't help but feel grateful that Bai Tiangong had taken the initiative to take over his body. With Bai Tiangong's memories, he walked the correct path in the mausoleum. He didn't need to worry about the dangers and traps hidden in the mausoleum. This was because their keen divine senses could sense that the deeper they went into the mausoleum, the more dangerous the aura they could sense. If they were to fall into that kind of danger, it would be very difficult to deal with, and it would take a lot of time. After about an incense stick's worth of time, the group of four stopped in front of a huge jade door. The huge door was carved from some kind of jade stone that contained a powerful and mysterious energy. Many birds and beasts were carved on both sides of the door. Most of them were exotic beasts Yun had never seen before. Yes, there's some kind of extremely powerful restriction on this huge door. It was a combination of numerous first firmament eternal level restrictions. It was an extremely complex combination array. Its power is infinitely close to that of a second firmament eternal level restriction. Zhuowen's gaze fell on the huge door, and his expression became very serious. Then what should we do? Brother Zhuo, your array Dao is only at the first firmament of the eternal grade. You can't break the restriction on this huge door, right? Duan Jipeng said dejectedly. Let me try. Zhuowen stepped forward and pressed his right hand on the crystal-clear lacquer surface of the huge door. This combined array was called the Jade Gate God Slaying Array. It was jointly arranged by 19 divine masters of Array Dao at the first firmament of the eternal grade. Bai Tiangong was one of the 19 divine masters of Array Dao. He knew the principle and essence of this combined array. After learning the principle of this array, even if Zhuowen's Array Dao was not at the level of this array, he believed that with the power of the primordial stone, Zhuowen should be able to break it. However, it might take some time. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the entire hall shook violently, as if it had been hit by some extremely terrifying force. Duan Jipeng's face was gloomy. He said in a low voice, I think the restriction on the Purple Flame's sacred mountain has been broken. The people outside will be able to break in soon. Lin Long and his wife were so scared that their faces turned pale. If that was really the case, they would definitely be condemned by everyone if they met them because they had taken a shortcut. Their situation would not be too good. The main hall is not that easy to find. I can break this array. I just need to break it before they find the main hall. Protect me. Zhuowen's expression was calm. After instructing Duan Jipeng and the other two, he sat cross-legged in front of the huge door and began to deduce the method to break the Jade Door God slaying array. He believed that as long as he could successfully break this array, his array Dao level would rise again. At that time, his array Dao level would reach the peak of the first firmament of the eternal grade. At the same time that Zhuowen was breaking the array, the purple bead on the mountain peak finally shattered. As for the boundless purple flames on the surface of the purple flame divine mountain, due to the destruction of the purple pearls, all of them were extinguished. All of a sudden, the terrifying sacred mountain became a little bare. The giant hall that stood on the peak of the sacred mountain finally revealed its true appearance. Everyone could see clearly that the purple bead floating at the top of the hall was the eye of the array. But now, the purple bead had been reduced to powder. This hall should be the tomb of that expert. There must be many treasures inside. Mo Fengyo's face was full of excitement. His whole body was trembling. That was a sign of extreme excitement. The green-robed elder, Ziyu, and the others breathing also became hot. Their eyes were fixed on the hall in front of them. Sure enough, someone has beaten us to it. Su Zhou was the calmest. His gaze fell on a deep passageway not far from the hall. At the exit of the passageway, there was still the remnant aura of Yuan and the others. The door of the hall was also open. Obviously, someone had come in ahead of time. Is it Zhuowen and the others? Mo Fengyu asked with an ugly expression. It's very likely the four of them. Don't waste any more time. Next, we'll enter the main hall to fight for the treasures. Our temporary alliance no longer exists. Next, whoever is more capable will get the best treasures. Su Zhou's voice was still cold. After he finished speaking, he turned into a rainbow and rushed into the hall. Behind Su Zhou, Ziyu and the rest of the team rushed forward like locusts passing through a territory. Chapter 4139. When the people of the three camps all rushed into the huge mausoleum, the even more shocking number of cultivators outside the divine mountain all flocked in like crazy. They were like locusts passing through a border, and it was quite a spectacular sight. However, when these people all gathered inside the mausoleum, they were shocked to find that the inside of the mausoleum was simply a big mausoleum. Not only were the routes complicated, but there were also many terrifying traps in the side halls along the way. Not long after they entered, there were already many cultivators who died because they accidentally entered the dangerous side palace. The same scene kept repeating in every corner of the mausoleum. Brother Su Zhou, we found that no one has touched these side halls along the way. If someone got here first, it's impossible that they haven't touched a single side hall. After all, there are still a small number of treasures in these side halls. Base. Ziyu followed closely behind Su Zhou. He saw that there were still intact side halls along the way and raised the doubts in his heart. Su Zhou narrowed his eyes. Brother Ziyu, although I haven't entered this mausoleum, I can guess that the mausoleum's owner built a maze-like route around the mausoleum. It's made up of side halls just to confuse the public. The things in these side halls are not bad, but do you think they can compare to that expert's personal treasures? Ziyu was a smart person. He naturally heard the meaning behind Su Zhou's words. He whispered, Brother Su Zhou, do you mean that Zhuowen and the others who came in before us deliberately didn't touch these side halls? Their goal is to hide in them? The main hall? This is the only explanation that makes sense. We have to hurry up. We can't fall behind everyone every time. Su Zhou faintly smiled. His enormous divine sense spread out and began to carefully search for any clues in the surroundings. Many cultivators in Su Zhou's territory couldn't resist the greed in their hearts and left the group. They began to explore the side halls along the way, hoping to find good opportunities. Even Fu Di, Zhan Anshan, and the other geniuses on the Outer Realm leaderboard began to become restless. They found reasons to leave the group and search for treasures on their own. Brother Su Zhou, Fu Di, Shen and Lai Rong, and the others have all left the team. Our team is gradually decreasing. Should we stop them? Ziyu naturally noticed this. Her eyes were cold as she whispered to Su Zhou. Su Zhou patted Ziyu's shoulder and smiled. Brother Ziyu, our team is united on the premise of benefits and expectations. People's hearts are not united. Now that we've entered the mausoleum, everyone has their own thoughts. Our hearts have long been scattered. Why should we? What if I force it? Next, we just need to take care of ourselves. Ziyu's displeasure was slightly restrained. She didn't care about the cultivators who took the opportunity to leave the group. Ziyu's attitude made many cultivators bolder. Then, more and more people broke away from their group. The loss of troops wasn't just limited to Su Zhou and Ziyu. The green-robed elder and the witchcraft god clan were also facing the same predicament. Especially the green-robed elder. His team was basically made up of individual cultivators. They had no discipline at all. The speed at which they lost members was extremely shocking. Although the witchcraft god clan also lost members, because they were from the same clan, the loss wasn't as serious as the other two camps. Old ancestor, there are so many side halls here. Some of them have good treasures. Are we not going to fight for anything? Why are we just following behind Su Zhou and the others? Mo Liuhua couldn't help but ask Mo Fengyu. Mo Liuhua said, Liuhua, can't you see? These side halls are actually a feint by the mausoleum master. The things hidden inside are just small profits. And we're not here just for small profits, we're here for big profits, and it's best if all of them. Su Zhou is very smart. He knows that he shouldn't fight for small profits with those individual cultivators. Instead, he should focus on finding the real treasure of the mausoleum. We won't go wrong following them. Remember, we have to keep an eye on them. Mo Fengyu said confidently. Mo Liuhua and Lu Yingying looked at each other. Although they felt that Mo Fengyu's words made sense, they still couldn't help but look at the cultivators fighting over the treasures. They felt rather regretful. Not long after everyone rushed into the mausoleum, Duan Jipeng and the other two, who were guarding Zhuowen, also felt a powerful energy ripple inside the mausoleum. They immediately sensed that it was the energy ripples of cultivators fighting. Moreover, it wasn't just one or two ripples, but many that appeared in various directions of the mausoleum. It seems that the cultivators outside have all entered the mausoleum. I'm afraid that they'll find this place soon. Duan Jipeng said with a gloomy expression. What should we do? Zhuan can't break the restriction on the main hall door in a short time. Lin Long and his wife said rather anxiously. Duan Jipeng frowned slightly. He silently watched Zhuowen's back as he broke the formation. For a moment, his mind was in a mess and he didn't know what to do. Time passed minute by minute. Su Zhou and Ziyu continued to go deeper into the mausoleum. Although they had taken many wrong paths, they had accumulated a lot of experience and had a general understanding of the mausoleum's route. Brother Su Zhou, our team has all left. We're the only ones left. Ziyu and Su Zhou stopped in front of a dead end. Ziyu shrugged and said rather helplessly, We're not the only ones left. Look at those people behind us. Haven't they been following us all this time? Su Zhou smiled faintly. Ziyu glanced at the green-robed elder, Mo Fengyu, and the others who were following closely behind them. She pursed her lips and said, I think they're running out of patience. I'm afraid that if we keep going, they'll give up. After all, it's been 5 days since we entered the mausoleum. It's been 5 days. We've missed too many opportunities in the past 5 days. I think that almost all the side halls here have been turned upside down by others. There won't even be anything left for us. Su Zhou said confidently, I really don't care about the things in the side halls. And it's not like I didn't gain anything. I've already collected most of the mausoleum's route. Now, I finally know where the main hall at the core of the mausoleum is. I know where it is. After he finished speaking, Su Zhou let out a hearty laugh, and with a stomp of his right foot, he flashed out of the dead end and quickly dashed towards a certain path. Brother Su Zhou, wait for me. Ziyu hurriedly chased after Su Zhou. She kept muttering that Su Zhou was crazy. Chapter 4140. Su Zhou was extremely fast. He was like a stream of light, shuttling through side halls and crossing intersections. This Su Zhou's route is too strange. It doesn't follow common sense at all. Mo Fengyu and the others who were following closely behind were surprised. Their hearts were filled with puzzlement. About half an hour later, Mo Fengyu and the others discovered that their path had completely changed. Or rather, the entire surrounding environment had become completely different. Then, they saw Su Zhou, who had been constantly rushing ahead, suddenly stop in front of them. "Brother Su Zhou, why did you stop again?" Ziyu walked forward and patted Su Zhou's shoulder. She was surprised to find that there was a bottomless abyss in front of Su Zhou. It was pitch black and strange. Above the abyss, there was a huge bridge. They were at one end of the long bridge, and on the other end, there was a huge palace. This hall was far more majestic than those side halls in the maze. As it stood there, it was like a divine hall that had existed since time immemorial, sacred and inviolable. Is this the main palace hidden in the deepest part of the mausoleum? Ziyu's eyes blazed. She looked at the huge palace on the other end of the bridge and said excitedly. The green-robed elder, Mo Fengyu and the others finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that following Su Zhou had been the right choice. This is the main palace. Also, someone really did beat us to it. Su Zhou smiled faintly. His eyes under the silver mask fell on the four figures in front of the main palace gate. It's Shun, Duan Jipeng and the others. It seems that Brother Su Zhou's guess was right. There really is a shortcut in the crack behind Purple Flame Divine Mountain. Ziyu couldn't help but give Su Zhou a thumbs up. On the other end of the bridge, Duan Jipeng and the others who had been guarding Zhuowen naturally discovered Su Zhou and the others. Their expressions changed greatly. Not good. It's Su Zhou and the others. How did they find this place so quickly? Lin Long and his wife asked anxiously. Duan Jipeng's expression was solemn. He glanced at Zhuowen, who was still trying to break the array. Then, a determined look appeared in his eyes as he said in a low voice, "We must protect Brother Zhua. We must not let him be disturbed in any way. This is our only chance." Lin Long and his wife's eyes flickered as they hesitated. However, looking at Duan Jipeng's back, they gritted their teeth and nodded heavily. "Ha! Brother Duan, what a coincidence. To think that we would meet again in the depths of the mausoleum." Su Zhou laughed aloud. He took a step forward and crossed the bridge, arriving at the other end. His gaze that was as sharp as a blade landed on Zhuowen, who was protected by Duan Jipeng and the others. Ziyu, Mo Fengyu, the green-robed elder, and the others followed with smiles. Their faces were full of ridicule. Come to think of it, in their eyes, Duan Jipeng and the others were already turtles in a jar, so they didn't care too much. What a coincidence! Duan Jipeng laughed dryly, but his eyes were full of vigilance. "Brother Duan, you've been here for a long time. Why haven't you entered the main hall?" Ziyu chuckled, but her purple eyes were looking at Zhuowen's back, who was being protected by Duan Jipeng. "The door of the main hall has set up an extremely powerful restriction. We are inexperienced and cannot break this restriction. Therefore we are blocked outside." Duan Jipeng said in a low voice. "I see that Brother Zhua hasn't said anything. Is he trying to break the array?" Ziyu asked jokingly. "He overestimates himself. The array on the door is almost at the level of the second firmament of the eternal realm. Who does he think he is? He dares to break the array alone. He's really courting death." Mo Fengyu sneered. Lu Yingying stood behind Mo Liuhua. Her beautiful eyes looked at Zhuowen rather speechlessly. This Zhuowen was really overestimating himself. What was his cultivation? His array skills were not particularly strong. Wasn't he just looking for trouble by trying to break the array? Ling Yun's vision is really not that good. Her disciple is too arrogant. How can such a guy live for long? Lu Yingying secretly despised him. "Oldemo, you'd better watch your words," Duan Jipeng said with an unfriendly expression. Mo Fengyu grinned, but his eyes gradually darkened. "Duan Jipeng, do you really think you're that big of a deal? Do you think that you're invincible just because you're at the peak of the great Qiankuan tribulation? You're not the only one with such cultivation here. If we attack, we can destroy you in a matter of minutes. If you don't want to die, get lost now." As he spoke, Mo Fengyo's powerful aura surged out. Immediately, the surroundings were enveloped by his terrifying aura, making the atmosphere very oppressive. Mo Liuhua followed closely behind. Powerful divine power flowed around his body. The aura of the late stage of the Great Qiankuan Tribulation was unmistakable. Peak of the Great Qiankuan Tribulation and late stage of the Great Qiankuan Tribulation. Lin Long and his wife's faces turned rather ugly. They had not expected Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua to be so strong. This old man has no intention of interfering in your affairs, but now that you're in my way, I have no choice but to attack. The green-robed elder smiled insincerely. He also came to Mo Fengyo's side. A powerful aura that was not weaker than the latter's also surged out. Another peak expert of the Great Qiankuan Tribulation. Duan Jipeng's face turned extremely cold. Su Zhou and Ziyu didn't move at all. They stood on the side like spectators and watched the confrontation with interest. Brother Zhua is about to break the array of the palace gate. Once it's broken, you can directly enter the main palace. There's no need for you to attack us, Duan Jipeng said in a low voice. Mo Fengyu sneered. This trash wants to break the array? Are you trying to make me laugh to death? Get lost. We'll think of a way to break the array. Don't waste our time. Brother Mo is right. Get lost. We won't pursue this matter and let you leave. The green-robed elder said indifferently. Duan Jipeng's face darkened completely. Mo Fengyu and the others were threatening him and driving him away just to have one less competitor after entering the main palace. Their words were high-sounding and dignified. As I said, Brother Zhua is breaking the array. If we wake him up now, he will definitely suffer a backlash. So, let's wait until he's done. Duan Jipeng did not back down. You want us to wait for a trash to break the array? How laughable. In that case, there's nothing to talk about. You can all stay here. Mo Fengyu snorted coldly and summoned his universe world. At the same time, Mo Liuhua and the green-robed elder also summoned their own universe worlds. Clearly, they had long reached an agreement to attack Duan Jipeng and the others. Leave Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua to me. You two deal with that green-robed elder. Chapter 41-41. Boom. Mo Fengyu and Duan Jipeng fiercely collided. Terrifying energy ripples erupted like an abyss. The collision of two pinnacle Qiankuan Great Tribulation experts produced extremely terrifying energy waves that were enough to tear apart the endless void. However, in the main hall, their energy fluctuations seemed to be blocked by some kind of invisible force. It did not affect this space, let alone the main hall that stood in front of them. Die! While Mo Fengyu and Duan Jipeng were entangled, Mo Liuhua saw the opportunity and took out a long saber that was overflowing with light. He slashed at Duan Jipeng's weakness. Duan Jipeng narrowed his eyes and stepped back with his right foot. His figure nimbly dodged Mo Liuhua's attack. While Duan Jipeng was entangled with Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua, Lin Long and his wife were fighting the green-robed elder. Although Lin Long and his wife were only at the late stage of the Qiankuan Great Tribulation, they were good at joint attacks because of their tacit cooperation. Therefore, the strength they could display was not much weaker than a pinnacle Qiankuan Great Tribulation expert. Therefore, although the green-robed elder's cultivation was stronger than Lin Long and his wife's, he was still unable to take them down in a short time. This team is really unexpected. They really hit it well. Ziyu silently watched this scene. A trace of surprise surged in the depths of her purple eyes. Brother Su Zhou, should we join in and help them? Ziyu asked with a smile. Su Zhou shook his head. We are not the same kind of people as them. Brother Ziyu, you have to understand that our goal is the things in the main hall. We don't want to get into a big fight over a little argument. There's no need for that at all. Let's do things properly. As he spoke, Su Zhou's gaze fell on Zhuan. His expression became more and more serious. He could feel that Zhuan seemed to have fallen into some kind of mysterious state. In the process of falling into this state, Zhuan's method of breaking formations was constantly improving, and the level of his array Dao was also constantly increasing. Can't you see that Zhuowen is actually a divine array master at the first firmament of the eternal level? If he's given enough time, he might really be able to break through the grand formation on the surface of the hall. Su Zhou said with a smile. Ziyu scratched her head. She had never dabbled in formations. So even though Su Zhou said so, she still couldn't see anything. However, he had no choice but to believe Su Zhou's words. Because Su Zhou's observation ability was extremely sharp, and he'd even dabbled in the knowledge of the Tao of formations in the past. So, he knew much more than Qinshi. On the Outer Realm celestial ranking, the person Ziyu admired the most was not the person who was ranked first. He admired the silver-masked Su Zhou the most. Although Su Zhou's strength was not as great as the top 3 geniuses on the Outer Realm heavenly ranking, he was the most knowledgeable and the most resourceful genius. Even the top 3 on the Outer World heavenly ranking were extremely fearful when facing Su Zhou. They didn't want to go against him. Then it's actually a good thing for us. Should we stop Mo Fengyu and the others? Ziyu chuckled. Su Zhou slowly shook his head and chuckled. Only when Mo Fengyu and the others take action will we have a chance to enter the main palace. All we need to do is to observe the situation from the sidelines. Brother Ziyu, do you believe in me? Ziyu's expression turned serious. He nodded heavily. Brother Su Zhou, of course I believe in you. Then you have to completely obey my instructions. Only then can you get a share of the loot in the main palace. If you don't want to obey, I won't force you. What happens to you in the end is none of my business. Su Zhou's tone became particularly heavy. Ziyu hesitated. He was silent for a long time before he said, Brother Su Zhou, I'll listen to you from now on. As time passed, the battle between Duan Jipeng and Lin Long gradually reached its climax. Each of them used their own trump cards. However, whether it was Duan Jipeng or Lin Long and his wife, they were all at a disadvantage. Especially when Mo Fengyu took out a 7th-rank astral weapon fragment, Duan Jipeng was forced to retreat step by step. Duan Jipeng, you can't beat us. Quickly fuck off. Otherwise, you'll perish here today. Mo Liuhua spoke coldly and faintly. Duan Jipeng's face was gloomy. He didn't expect Mo Fengyu and his wife to even use an astral weapon fragment. He also had an astral weapon, the complete version of the dark chakra. However, this thing couldn't be seen. Once he used it, he would be recognized immediately, and his identity would be exposed once again. At that time, it would be really bad. However, seeing Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua use the power of the astral weapon fragment to beat him up, he knew that if this continued, he would be finished. On the other side, Lin Long and his wife were also injured. It wouldn't be long before they were defeated by the green-robed elder. He knew that if he didn't use the dark chakra now, they would all die here. Just as Duan Jipeng was about to use the dark chakra, a blazing chi energy came from behind him. This chi energy passed by him and instantly appeared in front of Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua. It turned into a huge jade-colored divine saber and slashed down. Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua were caught off guard and hurriedly used their divine power to block. Puchi. The two grunted and spat out mouthfuls of blood as they retreated. At the same time, a jade-colored divine saber also appeared in front of the green-robed elder and repelled him, giving Lin Long and Mo Liuhua a chance to catch their breath. Who is it? Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder were both shocked and furious. They couldn't help but look in the direction of the jade-colored divine saber. They saw Yuan, who had been sitting cross-legged in front of the hall with his back to them, slowly stand up and turn around. A pair of cold eyes fell on them. Brother Zhua, you're finally awake. Duan Jipeng and the others were wild with joy. Ever since Zhuan broke the formation, he had been in a state of enlightenment. He had almost entered a state of selflessness and couldn't be awakened at all. Now that Zhuan had finally woken up, Duan Jipeng and the others could finally relax. Brother Zhua, the Jade Gate God slaying formation on the door? Lin Long and his wife asked hesitantly. The formation is already under my control. Zhuan smiled faintly. Zhuan hadn't broken the Jade Gate God slaying formation. Instead, he had completely mastered it according to the principles of the formation. If he wanted to break the formation, he could have done it earlier, but he didn't. Instead, he tried to master it. All of this was to maintain the integrity of the formation. Chapter 41-42. He can actually control the array on the palace gate. This Zhuan is indeed not simple. Su Zhou glanced at Zhuowen and the grand formation behind him, and a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. Little bastard, will give you a chance. Undo the array now and scram. That way you won't have to die here. Mo Fengyu said with a gloomy face. Old man, you're quite thoughtful. But who do you think you are? What right do you have to order me around? If you want to enter the main palace, then come. Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Mo Fengyu was flustered and exasperated. In his opinion, this Aunt Zhuowen was too arrogant. How dare he look down on him like this? You're courting death. Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua rushed over again. They attacked with all their might, wanting to kill Zhuowen with lightning speed. Duan Jipeng snorted coldly. Just as he was about to attack, a hand pressed down on his shoulder. It was Zhuowen. Zhuowen said with a smile, Brother Duan, you guys retreat behind me first. They can't do anything to me now. Hearing this, Duan Jipeng hesitated for a moment before retreating as he was told. He had just witnessed the power of the Jade Gate God-slaying array and knew that once activated, it was indeed more powerful than an expert at the peak of the Qiankuan Great Tribulation. Zhuowen's 10 fingers linked together in the air. Then, the Jade Gate God-slaying array behind him suddenly blasted out 2 jade-colored qis. The 2 jade-colored qis turned into jade-colored divine sabers that ruthlessly slammed towards Mo Fengyu and Su Zhou. Now that the two of them were on guard, they were not afraid of the jade-colored divine sabers. They brazenly collided with the jade-colored divine sabers. In a short while, the jade-colored divine sabers were annihilated. Hee, the power of this array is only SOSO. Mo Fengyu's lips curled into a smug smile, but there was contempt in his eyes. Brother Gu, Su Zhou, Zio, the main palace is close at hand. Are you still not going to attack? As long as we kill him, we can replace him and take control of the Jade Gate God-slaying array, Mo Fengyu shouted. The green-robed elder, who had been watching the show, revealed a look of interest in his eyes. He thought for a moment, then rushed out and joined forces with Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua. Let's go over too. Ziyu was eager to try. Su Zhou pulled Ziyu and said softly, we can go over, but if you want to enter the main hall smoothly, you have to listen to me. Understand? Ziyu was somewhat disheartened. I know. I'll listen to you. All right, let's go then. Su Zhou's expression was calm. He landed not far from Mo Fengyu with Ziyu. After seeing that the 5 of them had joined forces, Zhuowen's expression turned slightly serious. He silently sent his voice to Duan Jipeng, both of you retreat to the middle of the palace gate and listen to my orders to enter the palace gate at any time, got it? Duan Jipeng and the other 2 nodded heavily. Although they were a little worried about whether the Jade Gate God-slaying array could stop the 5 of them, they could only listen to Zhuowen for now. Mo Fengyu roared and attacked first. Violent energy surged out, and the terrifying Qiankuan world descended from the void. Streams of terrifying tribulation energy gathered like a tide, pouring down in all directions. Mo Liuhua and the green-robed elder also used all their strength. Surging energy wreaked havoc and dazzling light shone in all directions. Su Zhou and Ziyu both took out their life-divine weapons and followed behind the 3 of them. Zhuowen's eyes slowly narrowed, and the corner of his mouth revealed an imperceptible smile. Mo Fengyu and the others simply did not know how strong the Jade Gate God-slaying array was. Zhuowen shook his head inwardly. His fingertips danced in the void and completely erupted with the full power of the Jade Gate God-slaying array. The array that had been as calm as water instantly turned berserk in the next moment. Then, streams of dense jade-colored energy swept out from all directions of the array and instantly enveloped Mo Fengyu and the others. Their expressions changed greatly. Only now did they realize that the jade-colored energy had turned into incomparably sharp jade-colored divine sabers. Clang, clang. The jade-colored divine sabers were merciless. The moment they appeared, they launched a terrifying thunderous attack. Damn it, This brat deliberately showed weakness just now to bait us. Mo Fengyu was unable to restrain his anger. He punched out and terrifying energy caused the surrounding space to collapse, annihilating the numerous jade-colored divine sabers. But the wave of jade-colored divine sabers was dense and seemingly endless. After he destroyed the jade-colored divine sabers around him, even more jade-colored divine sabers swept over from all directions. The green-robed elder and Emoliowa's expressions were also extremely ugly. As they resisted the jade-colored divine sabers, they cursed Jun for being cunning. "Damn it, we've fallen into a trap," Ziyu said with a heavy expression. Su Zhou was already as calm as water. His eyes flashed with a silver-gray light. He looked ahead as if he had seen through something. At this moment, outside the array, Yun had completely activated the Jade Gate God Slaying Array. He did not stop there. His 10 fingers formed a seal. Within the array, more jade-colored energy poured out. Then countless jade-colored energy condensed into a huge phantom that was dozens of feet tall. This phantom was covered in jade-colored armor that emitted a jade-colored light. It held a huge jade-colored saber in its hands and carried 5 jade-colored divine sabers on its back. It looked like a god that had descended to the mortal world. After summoning this phantom with the Jade Gate God Slaying Array, Yun breathed a sigh of relief. Then he used the same method to break the array and pushed open the palace door. There was a crisp sound of the door opening. Zhuan opened a crack in the huge jade-colored palace door. "Brother Duan, hurry up and go in," Zhuan urged. Duan Jipeng and the other two were wild with joy. They hurriedly entered the main palace through the crack. Yun was the last to enter. When he was about to close the palace door again, his eyelids suddenly twitched. He saw a silver spear emerge from the depths of the void and fly towards his forehead. The spear's timing and position were too precise. Even Zhuowen did not expect it. "Damn it!" Zhuowen cursed in a low voice and immediately retreated a few steps. Taking advantage of the buffer time, he summoned the Taiyu sacred sword and slashed at the spear's shiny silver body. Clang! A crisp clang rang out as the Taiyu sacred sword and the silver spear collided. Terrifying energy ripples swept out in all directions. Zhuowen groaned and couldn't help but take a few steps back. The silver spear was blocked as well, but it still managed to enter the palace. Bang! At this moment, the palace door finally closed completely. Damn it! After the palace door closed, Mo Fengyu and the other 4 finally managed to break free from the jade-colored energy. Their expressions were very unfriendly. "I don't believe it. I'm going to blast open the palace door." Mo Fengyu was so angry that he lost his mind. He rushed towards the palace door, wanting to break through the array with brute force. However, the moment he approached the door, a divine saber that was much larger than him appeared in front of him in the blink of an eye and slashed at him without hesitation. Boom! Boom! You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.